folks. This is an Oklahoma Weather Alert here, 4:45 on this Saturday afternoon. William Cole live with you here on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. And we continue to track the increasing risk now of severe weather across parts of Oklahoma. And, well, as it turns out, the increasing risk is directly over central Oklahoma and the Oklahoma City metro. So we do have this severe thunderstorm watch in effect here in blue. This is until 10 p.m. this evening. But we do now have thunderstorms quickly developing. And, again, they're developing, like I mentioned, right here in central Oklahoma. So we have one going up west of Moore. We're keeping our eye on that. We've got a fairly beefy cell going up here just west of Edmond. We've got a storm tracker on that. We're going to talk to her coming up momentarily. And then you also see activity up here around the Guthrie area. That activity going up fairly quickly as well. Now, none of this currently severe, but this cell on the western sides of Edmond, it is quite heavy. And there are now some hail size, some dime size hail reports at least starting to come in with that cell. It did go up rotating, but at least right now the rotation nowhere near any type of tornadic level, but that rotation at times can increase the hail size. So let's go and kind of zoom in a little bit closer here. First of all, this is going to be for you folks up there, really west of Edmond, talking about even out towards Piedmont, Northwest Highway, and south of Cache. And again, this is a fairly heavy cell. Like I mentioned, still not severe officially from the Weather Service, but there are some reports now of dime-size hail coming in. And in fact, even as we look at the hail core tracker, there it is, essentially right over Four Corners, just northeast of Piedmont. Again, you can see that hail core with the aquas and the yellow showing up. That's now approaching quarter-size hail, which would technically make that storm severe. So right on the cusp of severe levels. Again, you can see heavy activity back down towards Piedmont, also back down towards the Yukon area. Let's do this because we do have a storm tracker directly on that storm. We've got Kathy, and Kathy, you're on the live line. We're looking at your video. You're closing in on it. You're right there around the Edmond area. Again, tell us where you are and give us a quick update on that storm.
I'm on northern I-35, just east of Edmond. We're looking, skies are darkening now. Right now, we don't have any substantial activity, just some rain showers, but it's looking like that storm is still developing. There should be some pretty good sized hail with that. But like I said, right now I'm along I-35, and they're just now starting to see some rain shower action going on.
Okay.
Stick with it.
Appreciate that. And Kathy Rebick, by the way, brand new storm chaser, welcoming her to Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. So again, today's actually her debut on the channel, and so a little bit of active weather on her debut. But again, we'll be seeing a lot more from her, obviously, today and throughout the spring season. But again, really a veteran storm chaser, and want to welcome her to Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. So again, she's up here on the cell around the Edmond area. Again, right now, this is the heaviest cell, still not severe, but this is trying to push some quarter-size hail now. So it's getting very close to severe levels. This cell down here just west of Moore, that's going to be south of Mustang. It's just kind of bubbling up right now. So right now, that's just kind of what we would call a shower. And by the way, this cell is now going severe up here, the one we were talking about that Kathy's on. It's trying to push that quarter-size hail. And so the Weather Service, they're now going to go and issue a warning on that storm, and they are going to issue it for quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. That warning is going to be in effect here. That warning, let's see, will be in effect until 5:30. And so essentially, this is for the Four Corners region, northwestern Oklahoma County, northeastern Canadian County, far southeastern Lincoln County, or Logan County rather, and then also portions of Kingfisher County there as well. And again, we're seeing kind of that smattering of black showing up. Again, that's where the hail core is. So again, that hail core almost directly over Four Corners, and actually another hail core trying to come up down there around the Piedmont area as well. But again, there you see it. There's the brand new warning that just populated there and has been issued as well. Let's also go up here quickly to the north. And so for our friends up here around Lingston, this is going to be just northeast of the Guthrie area, another cell here going up. And right now, again, primarily just showery activity, not really picking up on any lightning with it. But again, we'll continue to track all of this. Again, right now, we're just talking about the one lone current severe thunderstorm. And again, that is essentially in northwestern portions of Oklahoma County, West Edmond, and also back up towards the Seward area. That's going to be in southern Logan County and also out around Piedmont there as well. So we're still looking at Kathy's video. She's on the storm. Again, right now, this is the only severe storm in Oklahoma. But Kathy, as you're still kind of eyeballing it there in real time, you're essentially closing in on it there in West Edmond. Again, tell us where you are now and give us another update.
Yeah, I'm heading west right now, Will. I'm just south of Edmond. We're starting to get what appears to be the hail core now on the southern edge of the storm. Again, like you said, it just went severe warrant, so we're expecting a little more intensification here. But at the moment now, we're not seeing any sort of hail or showers or anything yet, just south of Edmond. But like I said, it's moving in. pretty fast, and it'll be here pretty soon. So we'll keep on it for you.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, you're right there, just looking at where you are. So you're just right there kind of on the outer band of it. That hail core, the main hail core, the way it looks right now, it's actually going to be right up there on Four Corners. It's going to be right up there in southwestern Logan County and far northwestern Oklahoma County. And again, as we switch over to the hail core tracker, and again, we're not trying to, overindulge on this specific storm, but at least right now, this is essentially the only activity that we're seeing, at least in the state right now, that again is severe. So that's why we continue to talk about this storm. But again, there's the hail core tracker. You can see just south of Piedmont, hail core there. That's primarily the way it looks from here, dime size hail. But again, as you get up here near Four Corners, southwestern portions of Logan County, northwestern portions of Oklahoma County, that's where the opportunity of some quarter size hail. It's fairly rural there. There are some neighborhoods out there, but it's still fairly rural right there around Four Corners. But again, right now, that's primarily where the hail core is going to be. And again, as we look at the velocities within the storm right now, nothing too concerning with that. Let me go and zoom this out here. And again, on days like today, when you kind of just have activity beginning to kind of bubble up fairly quickly, which is what we have, you kind of got to keep your eye, all around the radar. And again, for our friends across portions of south central Oklahoma, you folks are obviously included in the severe thunderstorm watch. It's the counties in blue there. That's until 10 p.m. this evening. Right now, no additional development within the watch box, but of course, we'll continue to watch it. A lot of the high-res data that we look at has been showing at least the severe weather potential, primarily, unfortunately, directly over Oklahoma County as we go through the evening. And well, as it turns out, that's exactly what we're beginning to see here on radar as well. Let's go down to the southwest metro here. Let's go and take a look at this cell. And again, this is essentially coming up on the airport, also the I-240 area. Now, there's not even any lightning with this yet, so just some rain down in this area. Again, there could be an opportunity for some thunderstorm activity in the way of lightning to develop here. This is going to be tracking over towards Valley Brook and even downtown Oklahoma City here fairly quickly as well. But again, right now, that's essentially just a rain shower. Again, there's no lightning. So we'll get back to this cell coming up momentarily. Again, that's the one Kathy's on. It is severe warned there until 5:30. And then for our friends up here in Logan County, this is up around the Langston area. Again, just another shower up here. Even though you're seeing some red showing up, there's some heavy rain, but right now we're just not picking up on any lightning, so it's not even a thunderstorm yet, and we'll continue to watch and see if those cells continue to mature there through their life cycle. Let's zoom back in on this one, though. And again, severe thunderstorm warning continues here until 5:30. I want to go back into the velocities here and again, just kind of take a look within the storm. And again, right now, nothing too concerning with that. But look, wow, look at that hail core coming up there fast. So that's going to be just south of Piedmont. And there's going to be an opportunity now for larger than quarter size hail. This could easily be going up to $50. And that's just north of Northwest Expressway. This is the hail core that I'm talking about here. In fact, that's going to clip portions of far western Piedmont. But again, $50 size hail possible there, where you're seeing the reds and some of the pinks showing up. Another hail core, this is really on the far western sides of Edmond, essentially now moving up towards Seward, eventually there in Logan County. Again, smaller hail core. That was the primary hail core maybe 5 minutes ago, but as this storm continues to kind of regenerate back down to the south, the hail core there on the southern fringes has really come up fairly quickly. And let me just go and take a look at a couple other things here. We just want to kind of keep inspecting the inside of the storm there, looking at wind flow, the velocities within the storm there as well. There was at least some broad rotation there on the back side of that storm, and I think that's one of the reasons why the hail core kind of spiked up there. Again, a lot of times, even if there's not a threat of any tornadic activity, when you hear rotation, that just kind of suspends the hail within the storm longer, and it gets a little bit bigger. So there was some broad rotation there momentarily, and I think that's, again, what kind of spiked the hail core up. So, Kathy, you're still looking at that storm. You're our eyes in the field there. Again, tell us where you are now. I think you're still around the Edmond area. And again, what are you seeing with that cell now?
At the moment, we're seeing, it looks like the hail core has kind of intensified a little bit. We're still waiting for it to come to us in southern Edmond here. Again, at the moment, there's nothing really going on, but we're looking at it off to the west, and it's moving in pretty fast, Will.
Yeah, it looks like that southern fringe. And when I say the southern fringe, so the cell, it's kind of merged, but we kind of still are working with two separate cells, two separate cores. So we have the core here that's essentially moving up into portions of Logan County. This is I-35 back over in here. And so then we kind of have the secondary cell here. This is where the hail core came up fairly quickly. There's been a little broad rotation, though, on the back side of it. So Kathy being right back over here in Edmond, Kathy, definitely keep your eyes there back to the southwest, to the secondary core, as this core continues continues to lift off to the north, this may weaken here, and we're going to continue to watch this as it kind of gets this fresh feed of warm, moist air coming on into it. Again, right now, this cell, kind of two cells, if you will, this is the only severe weather currently in Oklahoma. Severe thunderstorm warning continues here until 5:30. Officially from the Weather Service, it was warned for some quarter-size hail, but again, I can tell you with our hail core tracker here on Mesoscan radar, just north of Northwest Highway, eastern sides rather of Piedmont, that hail core you're seeing right there with the reds and some of the pink showing up, there's definitely going to be an opportunity now for some half-dollar size hail, and that may try and get just a little bit bigger. And the main reason for that, again, there's just some broad rotation, nothing concerning at all at this point, but again, there's just some broad rotation on the back side of that, and that's just helping to kind of enhance that hail core some. So again, and that hail core is holding together. That's just the new sweep that just came in. So that's going to be tracking there just on the far eastern sides of Piedmont, and that's going to be just north of the Kilpatrick Turnpike. Where it curves right there, that hail core is going to be just north of the curve on the Kilpatrick Turnpike, and that's also going to be just north of Northwest Highway. It's going to be about 5 miles north of Northwest Highway, and only about 2 miles to the northwest of the curve there on the John Kilpatrick Turnpike. So keep that in mind. Half-dollar size hail can do some damage. And then again, we have this other hail core up here. And again, this is going to be in far northwest Oklahoma County, essentially pushing over into Logan County now. But it's going to be out here on some rural roads, Rural Road 5100, again, there in far northwestern Oklahoma County. So let's go and zoom this out. And what we'll do, we'll just want to kind of take an overview again. And so again, this activity on the far southwestern sides of the metro, again, right now, this is just showery activity. And again, what we mean by that is there's just no lightning showing up. So then this is essentially on I-240, right there around I-35, south of I-40. It's a pocket of rain. But again, that's the only way to describe it, because again, there's still no lightning, there's nothing else associated with it, no hail, nothing like that. So we've just got a rain core there on the south sides of the metro. We've got a fairly beefy severe storm, a hailstorm now on kind of the northwestern sides of the metro. And then again, we're still watching this pocket of rain, which is kind of falling apart up around Langston. That never really rooted in, and again, it's never really produced any lightning. So that has not been a thunderstorm. It's mainly just been this activity that we're looking at here. And again, this is definitely turning into a hailstorm. And that rotation, Kathy, on the back side, and again, this is not anywhere near alarming rotation. There's no immediate tornado threat, nowhere near that level. But again, the reason why we keep talking about rotation is a lot of times you can have a storm that rotates, never comes anywhere near producing any type of tornadic activity, but it continues to produce really large hail. And that's my concern, because I think this hail core is continuing to grow, even in size-wise, talking about miles across. It's actually getting bigger geographically here as well. And I can tell you what, this hail core, this is now pushing golf balls as we're getting some white. Kathy, give us an update. I know you're looking at that storm. Tell us what direction you're looking, and give us an update on this storm.
Well, I'm currently looking west-southwest. We're actually facing the direction directly at the hail core. It's coming at us right now. We're waiting for it to come in. We're on, for those viewers that are familiar with the Edmond area, we're on the corner of Coltrane and 2nd. Again, facing southwest of that hail core. That should be coming in here in about the next 15 minutes. Yeah, and it's coming. It's going to be eventually tracking right towards the Edmond area. So this is a big heads up. But at least right now for our friends, there's a lot of people that live out there by the Kilpatrick, between Piedmont and the Kilpatrick nowadays. And again, this is going to be coming on into West Edmond. And the main concern right now, it is the hail core. The hail core sizes have dramatically increased just over the last 10 minutes, and they continue to increase. So again, when you're looking at the hail core tracker, and we're going to zoom this in just a little bit tighter, again, this can do real deal property damage. This can do real deal car damage, boat damage, whatever you have outdoors. And so again, we really just want to preface this very carefully. There's the curve on the John Kilpatrick here. That's going to be the Piedmont area there. Here's Edmond right back up in here. And again, you can see just how much wider geographically, miles across, this hail core's gotten. Where you're seeing the areas of red, there's an opportunity of some half-dollars there, but where you're seeing the pockets of white. And again, there's another sweep update. The hail core is maintaining itself there. You just saw that. There's going to be an opportunity for some golf ball size hail. So the hail on this one has gotten big, and it's gotten big really fast. And again, a lot of it is because of that broad rotation that, again, we continue to see in the storm. Hail core to the north there, that's also within the warning. It's basically up there on County Line Road now. It's crossing over into Logan County. There's still an opportunity of some half-dollars with that cell there.
But again, outside of that, locally heavy rain, it's going to be coming through. I know there's a lot of folks out and about, so this is a big heads up. Again, if you're watching us on the Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV mobile app, again, if you're in this area, severe thunderstorm warning in effect. And again, the main reason why, this is a hailstorm. And again, you want to do what you need to do, again, to protect your property, protect your car, and again, make sure you're not involved with this hail. Again, mainly on the southern fringes of this storm, that's where I would be the most concerned about. Again, if I had property or my vehicle in that area, again, when you're talking about some golf ball size hail, there's no doubt about it that, again, that can do some damage and do some damage fairly quickly. Again, outside of that, there's no immediate concern of anything else with the storm. There has continued to be some very broad rotation here. We're going to keep our eyes on that. The tornado threat today is low, but it's not zero. And anytime we're dealing with severe storms in Oklahoma, as we all know, it's never zero. But again, with this broad rotation, we're going to continue to keep our eyes on this, at least over the next 10 minutes or so. Kathy, again, one of our new storm trackers, Kathy Rebick. This is her first day here with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, seasoned storm tracker in Oklahoma. But Kathy, give us an update. You're there in Edmond. You're our eyes on this storm. We've got other storm trackers out and about today. But Kathy, tell us again where you are right now and give us an update.
Hi, well, I'm heading east now on 2nd. I'm heading back towards I-35 to get a better shot because the storm's getting pretty close. I think you can see on that shot, we've got some of the lower clouds are making their way into the Edmond area now. Again, we still have that severe thunderstorm warning is out for this area, so we're just waiting on the hail core to come in and hopefully get a good shot for you guys.
Okay, and Kathy, as we're looking at your video, so you're right there in Coltrane, I think you said, or at least still in the area of Coltrane. Now, are you shooting back more towards the west or to the southwest?
Right now, I'm shooting towards the east to get along I-35 to head north so we can cut these off from the south.
Okay.
Currently, the shot was facing to the southwest. We were facing the hail core, and you can see it coming into the Edmond area now.
Okay. So as soon as you kind of get repositioned, we'll go and take your shot back there again. Still watching this broad rotation. We really want to keep our eyes on this, Kathy. And this is a heads up for you. And this is still, it's right there where that hail core is. Just a few indications of just, again, some mid-level rotation there. And again, what that's doing right now is just kind of maximizing that hail core. But this is definitely worth watching. And again, especially as this activity continues to track now towards West Edmond. Again, you folks in West Edmond, again, heads up. Again, you've got a hailstorm, again, heading in your area. Also for the folks up in Seward, again, that's going to be in Logan County. Heads up, again, hailstorm tracking in your direction here over the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. The Edmond area over the next 10 to 15 minutes. Again, the storm will be moving on in. And Kathy, as soon as you kind of get your shot reset there, we definitely want to take a look. Again, this broad mid-level rotation that I keep looking at, that again, right now is nothing concerning at all other than maximizing the hail core. It's definitely going to be hidden back there in the rain. So we just kind of want to see this cloud texture again, as soon as you kind of get that shot reset there, and you may be trying to do that right now. Let us know, did you just kind of get the shot reset there? I know you're kind of moving it around a little bit, so tell us again where you are now, and again, kind of give us an update from your vantage point.
Yeah, I'm just straight east of Edmond right now. I'm along I-35. Again, that shot I just got repositioned for you guys. We can now see that lowering coming into the Edmond area. It's just off to the very left of the shot here, but you can see that hail core, and then the lowering is off to the very left. Okay, and so let's go and take a look at that. I'm trying to kind of make it through with your video. So now, are you saying there is a bit of a lowering now with that? Yeah, we're seeing it's not a very tight lowering at all, but it's definitely becoming clear as it comes into the Edmond area. This is going to be there's an area of spin, and again, right now we don't want to alarm anyone because right now this is what we call broad rotation, so there's no immediate threat with this activity. But I can tell you this is going to be just north of the Kilpatrick Turnpike, where the Kilpatrick Turnpike there turns up towards the Memorial area. There is an area of spin that we've been watching. It's kind of weakening now, but there is an area of spin. Again, nothing too alarming, nothing to get worked up about, but the general cycle with this storm is at least some broad rotation. So that's what we really want to keep our eyes on here, especially as it's coming through Edmond. And again, I know a lot of times when folks hear rotation or spin, you know, the immediate thing they think of is a tornado. And right now, this storm is nowhere near at that point. It's creating this larger hail core. And when I say it's creating a larger hail core, what I mean by that is as a storm spins or rotates and there's hail,
the hail actually gets suspended and it rotates within the storm. And as it's suspended and it rotates, the hail gets bigger and bigger. That's why a lot of times when you have storms that are mesocyclones that never go on to even come close to producing any type of tornadic activity, they produce really big hail. And that's what we're seeing with this one right now, because there's been an opportunity for some golf ball size hail with this storm. Kathy, you're kind of centering it up there. Give us an update. So we're kind of looking there. It looks like kind of a raggedy, from what I'm seeing here, a real raggedy wall cloud. And I know you're doing what you can to get us the shot. And so as that kind of comes back within view, are we just looking at rain curtains, or are we seeing just a little bit of a raggedy wall cloud there outside of the rain curtain?
Well, so since the last time you cut to this shot, this lowering has gotten a lot more substantial. It just happened about the last minutes. To the right of it, you can see the downdraft, the rain current, and then again to the left of that, where the updraft is, we can see the lowering right now.
Yeah, let's keep our eyes on that. If you can, try and maintain that shot as long as possible. I know you're kind of having to improvise there with your camera. So we've got an inflow notch as we're looking at this cell. We've got an inflow notch here, and this is where the storm is feeding off the warm air. There's the inflow notch. It's coming in here, and there's an area of spin back in here. And this whole thing is the mesocyclone. There's the big hail core that I'm talking about here. And again, you can see it there from Kathy's shot. It's pretty raggedy. There's the base of the storm. This whole thing right here is the base. There's the lowering that she's talking about. It looks really raggedy from here. But again, you can see that base that I'm talking about right there. That's the actual mesocyclone here. And that's what it looks like in real life as Kathy's looking at it there. So we want to really keep our eye on Kathy. Again, if you can, just maintain that shot there as long as possible. So again, I want to underscore again that there's no immediate threat of anything more substantial than large hail at this point. But this is obviously why we have storm trackers in the field. And this is why we cover even severe storms here in Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, because as we all know in Oklahoma, things can change fairly quickly. Now, I will tell you that the hail core is easing down some. It's nowhere near at the golf ball level it was at maybe 5 minutes ago, looking more like a $half size hail now. But let's go back here. And this is our spin rate product. And so in real time, the computer can kind of analyze several different factors that we're getting here on radar. And so it's placing the area of spin right here. So this is going to be north of the Kilpatrick now, but the area of red right there, that's where the computer thinks the area of spin is. And that's what we're looking at right there. Again, a large base, kind of a raggedy wall cloud feature there with it. And again, Kathy's doing the best she can. She's just trying to keep that shot framed up there. I think she's literally having to hold it, shooting out of her window to get that shot. But Kathy, give us another update. It's looking more raggedy. Your video's looking more raggedy as far as the lowering the wall cloud feature there. Give us another update. I know you're really working to try and maintain that shot, but give us an update from there.
Yeah, the lowering doesn't look as organized as it did during the last shot, Will. Right now we are getting that heavy rain. It is moving into the Edmond area now. We're starting to get counted pretty hard. But, yeah, like you said, that lowering is not looking as intense as it was. It is a lot more raggedy, and it's not as organized at all.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing on radar here. Also, the hail cores come down some, too. And a lot of times when the hail core begins to ease down, that means that it's kind of the storm itself is kind of cycling down. But I can tell you, as soon as I say that, the hail core is actually coming back up. And again, we're talking about basically out here on Edmond Road. We're talking about far west Edmond Road. There's going to be an opportunity again for this hail core to come back up, Kathy. And the way it looks right now, especially with the white showing back up, there's a real opportunity of some golf ball size hail here. So the hail cores come back up. We got to continue to watch the rotation. And again, the main reason we're watching the rotation, I just want to keep saying this over and over. There's no immediate tornado threat, but anytime a storm has some mid-level rotation, a large hail core, and some conditions are favorable for a little bit more, you've got to keep your eyes on it. And again, that's exactly what we're doing. But again, right now, all of our products here on radar are showing that, again, this is just currently a hailstorm, again, with some mid-level rotation. So we want to continue to track that carefully. What I want to do, I'm just going to zoom out, and Kathy, if you can continue to kind of maintain that shot, they're essentially within the watch box, the county's in blue. That is a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. this evening. This is the only activity. And again, a lot of the data that we looked at as we went through the day continue to suggest that the activity we were going to see would be in Oklahoma County. I mean, essentially right in Oklahoma County, and that continues to be what we see. There is some, I'm just going to say showery activity, because we're still not picking up on any lightning with this activity down here around I-240, the southern sides of the metro. That's rain there. There's also some rain out here around Yukon on I-40. Only rain. But again, we have this one cell here, really two cells in one, really. And again, this continues to be severe here. And again, the main threat with it right now is some hail. There's two separate hail cores with this. And again, one of these hail cores continues to maximize. And at times, it's given us an opportunity from the way it looks here of some golf ball size hail. So let's go and zoom back in. Only severe storm currently in Oklahoma, and really in the Oklahoma City metro, essentially the only thunderstorm outside of a couple rain showers. So let's go back to the hail core tracker. And so again, two distinct hail cores here. Again, one of them essentially on far west Edmond Road. That's going to be on the far western sides of Edmond. The hail core shrinking just some. We just got a new sweep in there. Hail core coming down some, but the southerly flank of this storm, the southerly core here, this is the one that has intermittently been producing some golf ball size hail. The way it looks from here now, maybe some half dollars are probably fairly common. Again, West Edmond Road being right here, and then also up here in far southern Logan County, tracking towards Seward, another hail core here. And again, where you're seeing the oranges and the red showing up, there's an opportunity for some half dollar size hail there as well. But I also wanted to show you how big geographically these hail cores are. So there's going to be a wide swath of areas that do get hail. But again, keep in mind the larger hail, the half dollar size hail I'm talking about, that's only going to be confined there into the areas of orange and red. Again, outside of that, we've been watching some broad rotation. The shots you're looking at there on the left-hand side of your screen, that's from Kathy Rebick, one of our storm chasers. And so she's been eyeballing this storm. And from time to time, we've had a fairly raggedy lowering with this cell. Kathy, you're still looking at it. Go and give us another update.
Yeah, we're still along I-35 heading northbound. As you can see, we still have some of that lowering going on just south of Edmond. Again, it doesn't look like it's insanely organized. It doesn't look very tight at all, but it has increased some since we last took this shot about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, and we're just looking at the hail core. And again, a lot of times when we're talking about hail cores, and again, I've said this a couple times, but I know we've got a lot of folks now joining us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. So again, just want to kind of repeat the information that a lot of times, especially in Oklahoma, you can have what we call mesocyclones or storms that rotate, and they never go on to produce tornadic activity. They never come close to producing any type of tornadic activity. But again, because they're spinning storms, they suspend the hail in the air longer, and it allows the hailstones to get bigger and bigger as they spin. And then eventually they get so big, the rotation's not strong enough to hold them or maintain them any longer, and then they finally drop. And so that's why as these storms, at least at times, rotate stronger or more vigorous, if you will, the hail sizes get bigger. So even as we're looking at storms with rotation, like this one with some mid-level rotation and intermittent raggedy wall clouds that Kathy's showing us here, it's important to also look at the hail cores because that is a real indicator of how healthy the mesocyclone is. So again, as we start getting up to near golf ball size hail, yes, that's a healthier mesocyclone. As that decreases, we can tell the storm's kind of breathing out and relaxing a little bit, and in real time, the mesocyclone is spinning down. We can also look at that with velocity and a lot of other products, but you always want to continue to double check and kind of cross check these storms, especially while as they're heading through a fairly populated area like the western sides of Edmond. Let's go back here to the hail core tracker. And again, the hail core continues to come down some, Kathy, the way it looks right now. But I can tell you we still continue just to have this ping here on our spin rate product of just an area of just real moderate mid-level spin. And again, it's just nothing too concerning here, but like I said, it's just something we want to continue to keep our eyes on. But again, for you folks in Edmond, this is a noisy storm. There's a lot of cloud ground lightning. Stay away from windows. Try and stay in the center part of your house or wherever you are. Again, stay away from the windows with all the lightning. Again, this is not a storm. If you're watching us on the Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV mobile app, a storm that you want to be out and about on. And the reason I say that is there is hail, and from time to time, this hail has been as large as golf balls. You don't want to expose your car, obviously, to hail that large. Kathy, we're still looking at it here. Again, there's not a lot of change on radar, but again, the more important thing sometimes is what you're seeing out there in the field. And give us an update from, again, the Edmond area.
Well, the heavy rain has made its way to I-35. We're starting to feel that right now. Like you said, that hail lowering is still pretty raggedy. It's still off to the south of Edmond. I'm sure you're looking at the radar. It looks like the hail core is going to pass just north of Edmond. So we're getting hit pretty hard right now. But as of right now, there's no major hail.
Okay, well, no major hail right there where you are, right there where Kathy is. There's no major hail. That main hail core still, it's
Correct.
right over West Edmond Road is where it looks like right now. And again, we're still, kind of looking at your shot there. Things are still looking raggedy. Almost kind of looks like some scud that's kind of feeding into that storm. But I can tell you, Kathy, we're still just getting a small indication here, just in the mid levels of some rotation that's still coming up there towards the West Edmond Road area. And again, for nothing else, it may just continue to produce some large hail, but it's something we need to keep our eyes on, and especially you there, essentially looking right at it. It's kind of back there in the rain curtain, if you will, south of the primary hail core, but it looks like we even have a third hail core trying to come up. So again, just all dynamics of the storms that, again, we need to continue to watch here over the next hour or so. But again, right now, the general motion, and again, this is important depending on where you are in the Oklahoma City metro or where you are in Oklahoma. Again, watching us here on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. Again, this is in northern Oklahoma County. The warning also extends up into portions of southern Logan County. Severe thunderstorm warning here. And again, this is primarily for a hailstorm. There's intermittent areas of $half size hail, and from time to time, the storm is peaking with some golf ball size hail. Some of that golf ball size hail was just southwest of Edmond and just north and northeast of the Piedmont area. That was about 10 minutes ago. There's been some mid-level rotation here, a raggedy wall cloud that Kathy's watching as well. Right now, there is no threat of any type of tornadic activity. But again, keep in mind, we monitor that continuously, then things can change quickly. But again, right now, this is just a hailstorm, and again, this is just a severe thunderstorm warning. I want to zoom back out here. And again, this is important here as well. Again, we get a lot of folks watching on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV from all around the state, and we appreciate that. And so the only reason why we continue to focus on Oklahoma County and the Oklahoma City metro, it's because that's the only storm in the state. This is the only severe storm in Oklahoma. Yes, we have a severe thunderstorm watch that covers all of central, east central, south central Oklahoma. That's until 10 p.m. there in the blue. But the only storm in that watch, again, is right there in Oklahoma County. So again, that's why we continue to focus on that storm. We have multiple storm trackers out today. But again, Kathy Rebick, our new storm tracker, long storm tracker in Oklahoma, lots of experience. Again, welcoming her first day here at Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV starts with a bang. But again, that's why we're sticking with her shot here, is because this is the only storm currently within that watch. So let me go and zoom back in. So again, if you're watching in other parts of the state, you're wondering what's going on or why are we only focusing on the Oklahoma City metro, again, right now it's because it's the only storm in the state. And if there's any additional activity within the watch that does break out, of course, we will get to your hometown and cover it just like we're covering central Oklahoma here as well. But Kathy, I want to check back in with you. Again, we keep looking at radar. We're analyzing all this on radar, minute by minute, second by second. Yes, that's important, but sometimes the more important thing is what's coming in from the field and what you're seeing out there in real time. And again, right now, this primarily is just still a hailstorm. Again, talking about that $half size hail, you're right there on the eastern fringes of it. The hail core is passing right there to your west and to your northwest. But give us another update from your vantage point, and also really important information. That wall cloud still looks fairly raggedy. I'm looking at it in your shot. It's looking more and more raggedy, but give us an update on that as well.
Yeah, we're still sitting along the edge of I-35 here. We just had some brief hail as the first bands of the storm came through. It was about pea-sized, dime-sized. It was not large at all. But yeah, we're still facing the main hail core of the storm that's currently just to the west of Edmond. It should head off to our northeast, and we're going to stick with it here from the south. But the hail core is looking, it does have that lowering to it, that raggedy look that you're seeing here. Again, it's not some intense rotation here. It's nothing to be too concerned with, but it is still looking like a substantial hailstorm will.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Kathy. I appreciate that. I can tell you the storm continues, and this is important, Kathy. This is important information here for you. This storm continues to regenerate back down to the south. In fact, it's almost regenerating now south of the warning, and that's where actually the mid-level rotation has worked its way back. So a lot of times on these storms, they'll continue to work their way, talking about areas of rotation, mesocyclones, they'll continue to work their way back to the warm sector. See, there's nothing going on here. This is all warm, unstable air that the storm is feeding on, right? And so the area of spin continues to work its way back. And again, I just want to say one more time, when I'm saying the area of spin, not talking about any type of immediate tornadic activity. We're talking about a mesocyclone that right now continues to produce big hail. That's all we're talking about, and an intermittent raggedy lowering. So there's nothing else associated with it, no type of tornadic activity. But the reason why we continue to highlight that is that as this continues to kind of back build, again, we actually have a new area of spin and a new hail core that has just gone up. So this is important, Kathy, that this one will also be lifting back towards you. But I tell you what, this hail core has really come up fast, and this is going to be just north of the village. And in fact, this is going to be up here on 122nd Street, 122nd Street, North Penn. There's an opportunity right now, 122nd Street and North Penn, of some golf ball size hail. You don't want to go out there now. I mean, if your vehicle's out there, it's out there. But again, this is a big heads up. We've got some hailstorms here in the metro, and from time to time, these are producing some big hail. But again, 122nd Street and Penn, golf ball size hail possible. Also in Edmond, that hail core is coming back up, Kathy. West Danforth, just north of West Danforth, there's an opportunity for some $50 size hail plus right there, again, on the western sides of Edmond. West Danforth, there in West Edmond, heads up on that, an opportunity for some $50 size hail. Let me switch this around. And Kathy, I want us to continue to keep an eye on this cell back down here to the south that's coming up through the village as well. And the only reason why I say that, like I said, that's just kind of where the area of spin has worked its way back down towards. And again, we're just talking about a hailstorm with an area of spin. But Kathy, we need to keep our eyes for sure. And you may, depending on where you are right now, you may want to definitely make sure you have a south road available to you. Again, if you do need to get south. But let's keep our eyes back down here towards the village. And if you can, that shot, so what we're looking at there, that is still the hail core that's coming up through Edmond, the west sides of Edmond right now. Is that correct? That's the shot we're looking at? Kathy?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so let's, and this other one may be wrapped in rain, so you may not from Edmond be able to see it, but this is still lifting northeast. But this other area back here towards the village, we want to keep our eyes on that. There's a new hail core regenerating there, and like I mentioned, there's a real broad area of spin, Kathy, that I really want us to watch. And again, you can see the hail core, and like I mentioned a couple times, the hail core can also from time to time be indicative of, again, a mesocyclone that's strengthening. And again, when we say mesocyclone, that doesn't necessarily mean tornadic activity. That just means a spinning storm that, again, can produce large hail. But this hail core now from Edmond all the way down through the northern sides of the village, all the way down to 122nd Street and Penn, essentially, there's an opportunity for a lot of $50 and potentially even some golf ball size hail in there. So we've got a real big hailstorm, essentially from Edmond all the way down into the North Oklahoma City area. If you live in those areas, again, definitely heads up on that. You don't want to get out and about in this at all. And, you know, again, if you're watching us on the Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV mobile app, again, stay where you are, stay safe. And again, don't get out in a hailstorm. This will do damage to your car. It's not hailing everywhere within that storm. But again, as we're looking at that hail core, you do see those pockets there as well. And I think Kathy's just trying to put her camera back on the dash. She had it kind of strung there for a second as we were looking out the window, and so apologize for that. She's just kind of straightening the camera and getting it back there on her dash as we're looking at it live. But so Kathy's still watching the storm. Our brand new storm tracker, Kathy Rebick, we want to welcome her to Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, her first day, and well, she starts with a bang. Of course, we have the rest of our storm trackers out as well. We have a large watch box, but right now this is the only storm within the watch box, and we just want to go over that again. I know we've got a lot of folks joining us here on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. And then again, if you're joining us from other parts of the state wondering what's going on where you live, well, I can tell you, out of this blue watch box that is in effect until 10 p.m. severe thunderstorm watch here, we have one severe storm. And in fact, we essentially only have one thunderstorm in that entire watch box. So if you're down in the Ardmore area, Ada area, even back over here towards Lawton, again, welcome to our coverage. We appreciate you joining in. But again, the only reason why we're focusing directly on the Oklahoma City Metro, this is the only storm within the watch. So again, we're going to continue to watch the storm. And again, this is over a fairly densely populated area of the state. And again, this is a real deal hail storm with an opportunity of $50, and again, an opportunity for at times golf ball size hail as well. And again, I'm joined here by our new storm tracker, Kathy Rebick. Again, just one of our storm trackers out today. First day with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, but a long time Oklahoma weather chaser. So again, we definitely welcome her as well. So let's get back to this storm. Let me go and zoom back in here. And again, we're mainly talking now about northern and central portions of Oklahoma County. Now, officially, this watch here does extend all the way up into portions of Logan County, all the way up towards, and really now just back to the east of Seward, back towards the I-35 corridor. Severe there, too. And as we're looking at the hail core tracker, there's an opportunity for maybe some $half size hail still approaching the I-35 corridor. That's going to be east of Seward, south of Guthrie. But I tell you what, this hail core down here on the portions of central Oklahoma County, just north of the village, has really come up. And Kathy, I don't know if you're going to be able to drop south. Are you able to drop south from your vantage point now?
Yeah, well, we're dropping south right now. We just saw that southern cell by the village that you just mentioned is now severe warning. So we're dropping south to try to intercept that and get you a shot.
Yeah, there's a real broad, and if you can get out to the clear slot, if you can get south of it and kind of get down to the clear slot, even back almost down towards Lake Aluma, there's a real broad area of spin here we want to keep our eyes on too. And so that's essentially going there right through, and it's going to be coming close to Memorial Road. That big hail core you're seeing right there, the big hail core is essentially setting almost right on Memorial Road right now. So the area of white you're seeing there, that is Memorial Road and Santa Fe Avenue, and it extends all the way over to Kelly Avenue and also back to the west here, almost all the way towards Penn. So essentially from Penn to Kelly, from also Memorial Road all the way back up towards 15th Street there in Edmond. That's a large hail core. And so we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 miles wide. There's an opportunity for some $half to possibly near golf ball size hail. And so this is a real heads up, again, if you live in that area. The other thing that we're watching, and we hate to say areas of spin because a lot of times that alarms people, and we're not trying to do that. But even with our spin rate product, there's a vigorous area of mid-level spin with this storm. And what it's doing now, it's acting to make the hail core larger, number one, but also as we're watching this storm, its life cycle, kind of how it forms and how it cycles, you can actually kind of see just a little bit more of a curvature here. And this is almost taking on more of a classic textbook hook supercell shape. And again, as we're looking at this, you can see this is the main area of rain, hail up in here, and we'll see if this storm continues to kind of at least continue to form up with a little bit more of an appendage here on the back side. And if so, I mean, that's basically a textbook supercell. So we're watching this carefully. Keep in mind, most supercells in Oklahoma go on to only produce hail, wind, severe weather, and nothing additional. But we're going to track this carefully. And this is why Kathy's dropping down to the south. I want her to get down here in the clear area of the storm. That way we're able to kind of look back up in it and see what's going on. And again, obviously, this is moving through a fairly densely populated area. Again, outside of the vivid lightning, the heavy rain, this is also a big hail producer. And I think we hear some hail even on Kathy's vehicle there. Kathy, give us an update. Tell us exactly where you are now and what you're seeing.
Dropping south on I-35. We're almost just east of the village currently. Like I said, we do have some small hail right now that's bouncing off the car. It's, like I said, it's about pea size to dime size. It's not anything near what's in the hail core right now, but we're getting pretty close to that clear spot, and it's just off to the west right now. It's heading east.
And you said you're on 35, is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and so we're just trying to kind of extrapolate here just a little bit. So this is 35 right here, and so when she's saying she's getting peas and dimes, that's back over here in the blue. And so again, we always like to verify what we're seeing here on radar. Obviously, we don't want her to drive into the hail core, but again, if she's getting peas and dimes there just in the blue, yes, more than likely, as you're getting into the oranges, the reds, and well, you see the white right there, there's a definite opportunity for some $half to some golf ball size hail. That will do some real damage. And again, we've really got to keep our eye on that. And again, if she gets back into the clear slot there, we also want to keep our eye on, again, what appears to be this forming hook now on the back side of this storm. And again, we'll see as the storm continues to cycle here through its life cycle, we'll see what continues to happen with that. But again, there appears to be a bit of a hook now, Kathy, forming on the back side of this storm. So again, as we're just cycling through some other products here as well. So again, if you're in the Edmond area, if you're all the way back up even through the Arcadia area, you're in North Oklahoma County, stay weather aware on this storm. Stay weather aware. And this is a big hailstorm. And Kathy, yeah, the faster you can get down to the south, I tell you what, the back end of this is looking just a little more concerning to me right now. And in fact, this is actually technically even outside of the warning. But as you get down here to northeast 122nd and eastern, there's a real vigorous area of spin down here. And even on our spin rate product, we're really starting to pick up on that, even getting closer there to Memorial Road back down through 122nd. We've got a broad area of spin. Then again, we don't want to alarm anybody with that. There's no immediate threat with that, but this storm is taking on just more of a supercell structure, and we are definitely getting a hook now forming on the back side of it. Big hail right now is the primary threat, and geez, wow, you can even see now. You can even see now the curvature within the storm. See even the hail core. See how this is actually spinning. See that spiral banding. See that spiral banding? It's spinning the hail core. The whole storm's starting to rotate now. Okay, so the whole storm's starting to rotate. There's a spiral banding to the back. It's taking this big hail core right there where the mesocyclone is, and it's spinning it back around. You see that right there? So we can actually even see that now in the hail core tracker. So this storm just a little more concerning. It's ticked up just a notch over the last 5 minutes, and we've definitely got a hook now coming around on the backside. Kathy, tell us where you are now. Give us an update. I'm looking at your video coming in. I think we see some scud there, but tell us where you are and give us an update.
I'm just off I-35, Will. Again, just east of the village. We're looking at that the hook rotation that you're mentioning now. It is looking a lot more organized. It's almost taken up like a shelf cloud-like appearance, but we can definitely see some rotation as we're looking up here. It's spinning pretty fast. Okay,
it looks, just from looking at it here, Kathy, it looks real raggedy. Are you seeing, as you're looking at it there in real time, sometimes it's hard to make the video out, it looks real raggedy from your video. On radar, it's looking a little more pronounced, but again, from right there in the field, what you're looking at, what are you seeing? Are you just seeing raggedy scud kind of coming into it there from your vantage point, or are you seeing any area of defined, maybe mid-level rotation? What are you seeing? Are you seeing any of that at all?
Currently, it's almost right overhead. We're seeing definitely the raggedy that you're seeing. It definitely looks like it's starting to rotate. It's going from right to left. Will it's looking like it's really wanting to get its act together here. Again, we're on I-35 southbound, just east of the village.
Okay, so we're going to continue to watch it. If you can, just maintain that shot. Any changes, let us know. And again, it's sometimes when we're looking at video here, it's hard to tell because see the storm trackers can see out there. We see it moving. I'm not sure if this is Kathy. Are we seeing scud like maybe inflow coming into the storm? So the clouds that we're looking at here, are those just scud clouds being sucked in on the inflow notch here to the storm? This is the inflow notch right back up in here. So is that what we're looking at from your vantage point? Is that scud moving in?
Will, it looks like that, like we said, it looks like the updraft's going into the storm right now. We are seeing those clouds like really moving up into the storm.
Okay, so that's what it's right. So that's what we're saying, Kathy.
It looks like it's rotating right to left.
Got it. So what we're looking at right here, because you kind of see these little things hanging down, you're wondering what's going on. So these are scud clouds. We call these scud clouds. They're being sucked into the storm. Scud clouds are a sign of strong inflow. And again, as we're looking at this storm, this is the inflow notch right here. This is the inflow notch right there. So as it's breathing in this warm, unstable air, you can actually see it in real time. If you're in this field tracking, you call it scud clouds. So these are the scud clouds coming into the storm. Here's the hook. See the hook right here developing. And again, right now the mesocyclone is so strong, it's pulling the hail core. Remember like we just saw there, kind of wrapping and curling around? It's pulling the hail core all the way back up in here. This is the big hail right back up in here. Golf balls possible here, but this is the inflow, exactly what Kathy's looking at, and then it's twisting and turning it right here. So we've got a fairly vigorous mesocyclone. The good news is, at least from what Kathy's telling us, there's no at least formed, or at least there's no substantial wall cloud associated with this. Is that right, Kathy? Again, from your vantage point, you're not seeing at least a well-organized wall cloud. Is that correct?
Correct, Will. Yeah, there is some rotation from what I'm seeing, but there's no intense, tightly wall cloud. There's no funnel cloud as of yet.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this, Kathy. Let me tell you this. This area of spin, it's getting a little bit tighter here on radar. And as we're looking at our spin rate product, Turner Turnpike, the entrance of the Turner Turnpike in I-35, that's where the main area of spin is going to be. And again, just as we take a look at this as a whole, again, if you've lived in Oklahoma very long, you know what a supercell looks like, and this is now kind of turning into this textbook supercell. Now, we just want to preface, probably 80% of the supercells we get in Oklahoma, they rotate, yes. They have wall clouds, yes. They never come close to producing any type of tornadic activity. That very well could be the case with this one. That's what we're hoping for, right? But we're watching this carefully. So this is the storm, obviously, supercell here. The most important part of this storm, it's the back end appendage. This is the hook trying to form here. So this is the inflow. This is the warm air coming into the storm. Hail associated with the storm here, area black, that's big hail, maybe even up to the size of golf balls. And again, this is the inflow. This is the area of spin. If there was anything concerning, it would be back in this area. Yeah, Kathy, go ahead. If you got something, go ahead.
Yeah, we're at the southern end of the storm right now, Will, and this is the hail core you're talking about. It's getting up to quarter size right now.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful on that. So, Kathy, let's see. Tell me exactly where you are now. So, Kathy's in Big Hail. I see you're on I-35. It looks like you're up there by Frontier City. Is that right?
Yeah, we're southbound on I-35. We're just south of the Turner Turnpike, and we're getting belted by that hail right now.
Kathy, let me tell you something. You're in perfect position. As soon as you get south, Kathy's right here on 35. There's the Turner. As soon as you get south and you get out of that hail core, if you can, get us a shot to the north. That's where the area of spin is. And I tell you, Kathy, this area of spin, it continues to come up. I'm just a little more concerned about it now. As soon as you get south out of that hail core, let's get a shot back up to the north. And again, that's where the area of spin would be. And I think as you get out of that hail core, there's going to be a wall cloud that we're going to see. And so right now, even as we're looking at the spin rate product, we got a pretty good area of spin here. Hail cores come down some. Okay, the hail cores come down some. The main hail core, it's now going it's now going right over still Memorial Road. It's almost tracking east right down Memorial Road. Golf balls possible on Memorial Road and Coltrane. Memorial Road and Coltrane. That's going to be up there in Edmond. Golf balls possible there. And then also back over here towards East 15th Street. The far eastern sides of Edmond, there's also going to be an opportunity for some golf ball size hail. Also East 33rd, all of that east of 35. This is a big time hailstorm, big time hail now coming up in the Edmond area. But again, it's also got this hook on the back that continues to kind of enhance some. And this is what we want to keep our eyes on. This is where Kathy is. She's on the back end of the storm. She's in absolutely perfect position. She's about to be out of the rain and the hail. We're hearing the hail there on her chase vehicle. You're hearing it hit it also on the window. As soon as she's clear, she'll turn around. We'll look back up to the north, and we'll be able to see in real time this area of rotation, this potential area of spin, and exactly what kind of business it means right now. But again, on radar, at least here, we're continuing to get some indications of mid-level rotation. It doesn't really, at least right now, appear to be working its way down, and that's the good news with this. But it's sitting right at 35 in the entrance to the Turner Turnpike, and the velocities are now coming up some, Kathy. They're coming up some. So you're still there looking at it. I know you're going to try and get turned around. You're southbound on 35. You just got out of the hail core. Perfect position. You're about to turn around probably at that next road you're at there. But what are you seeing? Give us an update from the field.
We're southbound, like down I-35. I'm just headed onto Britton Road right now. We just got out of the hail core. Again, it's extremely large hail. Anybody who's northbound on I-35 right now, north heading towards Edmond, needs to be very, very careful. The hail was about up to the size of golf balls. As you heard, it was pelting my car pretty hard, and you need to be very, very careful if you're going northbound on I-35 right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So confirm golf balls then. Again, that's what we've been showing here on radar. So we've got golf balls there. As soon as you get turned around, what I really want to do, I want to see the back end of this mesocyclone. The mesocyclone right now basically at the Turner and I-35, the entrance to the Turner and I-35, big hail core now in East Edmond, and that's going to be back over towards East 15th Street and also back over towards North Midwest Boulevard. And so an opportunity, the golf ball size hail you just heard there with Kathy, that's now pushing up there into North Edmond and eastern sides of Edmond. Again, back over towards, East 33rd and also East 15th Street. Again, both of those there on the eastern sides of 35 and just north there of the Turner as well. Just looking at some new information coming in here too. So area of spin, Kathy, looking just a little more raggedy on radar. That's always good. But I can tell you, we've still got this very pronounced hook, and we've still got this very pronounced inflow notch. So from this specific product here, this is just reflectivity showing us where it's raining. The velocities are not looking as impressive, but this right here is looking a little more impressive. This is the inflow notch, warm air feeding into the storm here. Area of spin, you can see the comma coming back around, hook developing there, and then there's the big hail core. This is now a classic textbook supercell, and again, we've got golf ball plus size hail. And Kathy, this is again on radar looking more and more impressive. Tell me where you are. Are you back on 35? Because if you were able to spin around and just get back on 35, let's see the back end of this, and give us an update from your vantage point now. Tell us what you're seeing there.
No, well, I'm back to facing north. We got off I-35. We're facing north again. Looking at the backside of this, as you can see a very, very well-defined hook now going on in this storm. You're seeing that scud coming in on that shot back behind the hail core. We're watching it now. It's moving pretty fast off to the east, but again,
it's almost
hail right now.
Kathy, let me tell you something. It's gonna try and track almost directly up the Turner. It looks like it may try and cross the Turner, the area spin that we're talking about here, the Turner Turnpike. So big hail continues just north of the Turner Turnpike, East 15th Street, East 33rd Street, and Edmond. Heads up, golf ball size hail possible. This is a supercell. There is some mid-level rotation. Again, we just want to continue to preface this that there's mid-level rotation. None of this has worked its way down. It's not surface-based, but the radar presentation here continues to tick up just a notch. And we really, really want to track this carefully. Again, for our friends, this is a fairly densely populated area, obviously northern portions of Oklahoma County. The latest sweep here, Kathy, of the spin rate has really come up a notch. And so again, let's go and talk about some hometowns. So if you're, and again, as you start getting into northeastern portions of Oklahoma County, it does become a little more rural. You start getting up there around Lake Arcadia, and even back over through Luther. So for our friends, if you're watching us on TV or watching us on the Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV mobile app, this is a heads up. And also if you live anywhere near the Turner Turnpike entrance, even back up there towards Memorial, heads up on this storm. Number one, it's going to be producing large hail. There's an opportunity for golf ball size hail. That will do damage. Okay, so number one, you need to know that. Number two, this storm, at least currently in its life cycle, has really enhanced its area of spin and its mid-level, and again, I want to key in on that mid-level, not low-level, but mid-level rotation. And we're going to see here over the next 15 to maybe 30 minutes, does that mean anything? Will it try and work anything down to the ground? But again, you can see this hook. This is a classic hook now, and it's really wrapped up on the backside. So we're looking at Kathy's video, and Kathy, as I'm looking at it here, it looks like we're just still seeing a lot of scud. This storm is pulling in a lot of warm air. It's got a very strong inflow into it, and we're seeing that with the scud. And when we say scud, we're talking about these specific clouds. These specific clouds, they're feeding on into the storm. But Kathy, from your vantage point, because you're kind of in the clear air sector of it now, are you seeing any type of lowering? Are you seeing any type of well-formed wall cloud with this storm?
Well, currently, right now, like you said, we're seeing a lot of scud developing with that intense updraft, that intense inflow coming in. At the moment, right now, we are not seeing a well-defined wall cloud.
Yep.
You can tell that the scud that's forming right now is rotating, but again, it's nothing tightly wound. It's nothing intense. It's not anything well-developed right now, Will.
Yeah, Kathy, this thing is going to do two things, and I'm going to tell you, it could be one or the other. We really got to watch it now. Either it's going to wrap up on itself, it's going to do what we call a occlude. So this hook you're seeing right here, because you can see where the inflow is now working its way further in, we're either going to see this hook come in on itself, and it's going to call a occlude, where it goes through a life cycle, or this hook is going to become a little more pronounced, and you know, we hate to say that, but the threat of tornadic activity could come up a notch if that hook becomes more pronounced. So in the next two sweeps here we get in, we're going to see if that hook comes in on itself and we occlude, or if it becomes a little more pronounced with a little more separation, and it would be a little more concerning. I can tell you velocities right now, there's a lot of good inflow into the storm, but it's not really wrapping back around much, so that's good. But we got to watch this carefully. Kathy, now are you able to get still a little bit further to the north?
We're about to jump north on I-35 right now. We're trying to remain south of that hail core.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. You can get, hey, Kathy, and I hate to interrupt you. I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you, be rude. If you can get up to the Turner Turnpike entrance, you'll be fine there. There's no hail, but that's essentially, if you can get there and then shoot your camera back to the east, and so we can get a look up in there and see what's going on. But you know what I think is happening here? I think we're going to see this thing occlude. You can see the hook. It's coming around. I don't really see more separation with the latest sweep, but I think we're going to see this come in, and it will actually complete a life cycle. So we'll actually have just completed a life cycle if if that happens. But again, the latest sweep that just came in, the hook continues to come up in on itself, and anytime that happens, it's called occluding, and we just completed a life cycle, and that would be good. That would definitely lower the threat of anything additional other than hail dramatically for at least a few minutes. So we'll see what happens here, but that's kind of the way it looks from here right now. And but we've still got a strong rotation marker on this. So if you're getting just a little bit further to the north, Kathy, and then we can just look back to the east and look back up in that thing and see. You know, I think there's most likely a wall cloud with this. And what, as you just turned there, what are we seeing there?
Well, we're looking back at that hook right now,
Okay.
and we are seeing,
Yep.
again, it's still pretty raggedy looking. It's still some scud, but it is more of a tighter wall cloud than we have been seeing.
Yeah, this is more
back
tighter.
east, or
Yeah.
back west towards the village right now.
Yeah, this is tighter. So here's the inflow. There's the inflow tail. Sometimes on days where there's the higher humidity or a little more dew point, sometimes these tails will even get closer to the ground. Inflow tail here. So that's where the inflow is. Area of spin back up in here. And so if you look carefully, you can actually even see the striations, the area of spin here, even within the base of the storm. We got striations there. This is the lowering. It does look raggedy, and that part is good. And we're going to see again if this hook, if it wraps up in on itself, or if it comes out a little bit more like a stinger. If we get a little bit more of a stinger hook, it's more concerning. But it looks really raggedy. Lots of scud around it. There's the inflow tail, not as pronounced. We're seeing it all in real time. This is the inflow here, okay? And this is what we're seeing in real time. That's where the warm, moist air is flowing into the storm. So we're looking at all this in real time. But I can tell you just from looking at your video, Kathy, I mean, it really does look pretty raggedy, and that is good. That is really good news. But we're going to see what this hook does. The other thing we don't want to take away from is the fact we've got a big hail core with this as well. And this big hail core, it's tracking up here towards Old 66, up there towards Arcadia Pops, even up there towards Lake Hiwassee area, up there towards Arcadia Lake, and eventually even towards Luther over the next 20 minutes. Golf ball size hail possible. And Kathy, if we can, let's try and hold that shot as long. I know you want to keep up with the storm, but let's try and at least get some type of shot on that wall cloud as soon as possible again, just so we can maintain that. Let's look at the rotation product here again. And the computer continues to maintain a fairly decent area of spin. I can just tell you the hook is just from here on radar looking more raggedy. I think even what we saw with Kathy's live video, the wall cloud is looking pretty raggedy. She's going to catch back up with it. I can still see it there in her shot. But real quick, I just want to reset this for everyone in Oklahoma. We've got a lot of folks watching us now on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. If you're watching in Oklahoma or those of you from around the rest of the world, we appreciate you joining our coverage. Welcome in. I just want to tell the folks in Oklahoma that we're talking to here, the reason why we're only talking about central Oklahoma, we've got a large severe thunderstorm watch in blue until 10 p.m., but we've only got one storm in that watch and one severe storm. That's the only reason why we're focused in central Oklahoma. We're going to get back to it. But again, if you live in other parts of the state, there is no other severe weather in Oklahoma. We are dealing with one supercell, and it's now on the eastern sides of Edmond in central Oklahoma. So again, I just want to underscore that. We're not forgetting about anyone. We're not leaving anyone out. This is the only storm that is currently severe in the state. And again, it does happen to be a supercell. It's producing large hail up to the size of golf balls, and it continues with an area of mid-level rotation. Let's get back to our storm tracker. And Kathy Rebick, brand new storm tracker with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. She's a longtime Oklahoma storm chaser, but first day with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. We want to welcome her in. And of course, she starts off with a bang. We've got the rest of our storm trackers out there in other parts of the state as needed. We'll check in with them. She just happened to be on the northern sides of the metro where she got assigned today. So this is the storm she's been on. And we continue to kind of bounce back and forth with her. Kathy, as we're looking at this, we were talking a few minutes ago about if the hook was going to wrap up in on itself, if it was going to occlude, and we might have gone through a life cycle on the supercell. And again, the latest couple scans here, we're watching this, but to me, it looks like it's trying to wrap up and occlude on itself. So we're going to watch this carefully. That could be good news. But if we can, let's get a shot of that wall cloud again. And as you're looking at it there from the field, again, a few minutes ago, it looked pretty raggedy. It didn't look too threatening at that time. But again, things can change fast with Oklahoma weather, as we all know. So tell us where you are now and give us an update.
Well, I just turned east on 122nd Street. We're heading back to the east to get back behind that hook. Like you said, you're looking at the back of the hail core right now. We can see some intense hail coming down right now still with the storm. There's no well-defined wall cloud. Like you said, it looks like it's wrapping in on itself. It's nothing well-defined. Again, the biggest threat with this is that large hail that we drove through a few minutes ago. And again, around Edmond, we are having some flooding on the roadways as well.
Yeah, and Kathy, we're getting a report here of the rear flank downdraft, some 70-mile-per-hour winds. So this hook on the back end of it, if this does end up occluding and wrapping around on it, a lot of times you can get some really high-velocity winds. We just had a report here of some 70-mile-per-hour winds. Heads up on that coming on the back side around this. So again, this rear flank, essentially this is what you call the rear flank downdraft. There is what the hook is. So as that comes back around, if this does occlude, again, there could be some 70-mile-per-hour winds there as well. And we did just get a report of that. So again, we've got a hailstorm, we've got a windstorm, and again, we've got a hook and some mid-level rotation. So we're working the full gamut here on this one. And you can see the hook just looking more and more raggedy. So I think this one's going to occlude itself. We've got some 70-mile-per-hour winds coming around, wrapping around. I think this is going to wrap itself up. But then we start the next life cycle. We may already see that trying to happen down here. But I think this one's going to occlude. It's going to wrap up 70-mile-per-hour winds plus now coming around, and we may have the next life cycle now developing on the south side. And again, the threat potential could regenerate with that. We got to keep our eyes on that. You folks there in Jones, heads up on that. Let's talk about the hail. And as we do that, and this is good too, the hail core, again, looking just a little more raggedy as well. And again, as that mesocyclone, the way it looks right now, again, at least one life cycle, it's occluding. The mesocyclone's kind of spinning down some. But again, you can see the curvature of the storm. This is the hail. And again, you can see the curvature of this storm. This storm has been rapidly rotating, but again, the hail size is coming down some because the mesocyclone's occluding and it's currently weakening. Okay, so the mesocyclone right now is weakening. The hail sizes themselves are even coming up, but again, the threat of damaging winds to near 70 miles per hour, it is increasing. And again, there's the hook. You can see how raggedy it is compared to maybe 10 minutes ago. And in fact, let's go and loop this here. And again, as we loop this, again, you can see essentially, and what we'll do, we'll kind of stair step this. You can see where the hook really began to present itself there. And then again, you can see it just kind of become raggedy. But again, the southern flank of this, we'll see if that begins to try and regenerate or again, anything happens with that. But at least right now, the hail size is coming down some. That's good. The mid-level rotation definitely decreasing. That's good. We'll watch that. But again, the opportunity for some 70-mile-per-hour winds, especially just north of Jones, up there towards northeast 136th Street. There could be some 70-mile-per-hour winds. Hail core, by the way, coming in now to the Luther area. You folks up there, Arcadia, Pops, Lake Hiawassee, back up over through Luther, eventually towards the Wellston area. Again, a lot of this right there along the Turner Turnpike. Heads up, this is a real deal hailstorm. There's been some golf ball size hail. I think it's about $50 now as the hail sizes have dropped just some. Mid-level rotation, like I mentioned, dropping just some now as well. Kathy, you're still looking at it. Again, you're our eyes in the field. You've been on this since it essentially formed in Canadian County. Tell us where you are now and give us another update.
Will, we're heading east right now. We're almost just south of Arcadia. Looking back, the storm is off to our west now. We're about to head to the north to get a good look at it. At the moment right now, there's no well-defined wall cloud. Like you said, it's kind of just wrapped itself out. It's very, very raggedy. It's nothing well-defined. But again, that hail core it still exists. It's still coming down pretty hard, it looks like.
Yeah, and the hail core's coming down just a notch, but I mean, we've still got a fairly decent area of hail with this storm. Just looking at some of the velocities here, and even for you folks as far south as Jones, heads up, there could be some 70-mile-per-hour winds as far south as Jones, again, as that rear flank downdraft continues to wrap around. So we've essentially seen one life cycle in this supercell. So we saw it essentially form, we saw it firm up, we saw the hook come around on it, and then as we mentioned maybe 15 minutes ago, we said, well, two things were going to happen. Either the hook was going to wrap up in on itself and was going to occlude, and we were going to have one life cycle of that storm, or we were going to get more separation from the hook, and if that happened, things could have been maybe just a little more dicey. So that didn't happen. That's good. The hook basically turned up in on itself. The storm occluded, and now what we'll see if there's still enough dynamics left that it goes through another life cycle where it potentially spins up another hook. So that's where we're at. That's the juncture that we're at with this storm right now. Again, the only severe storm in Oklahoma currently within this fairly large severe thunderstorm watch. Again, we've got eyes on it. We've had eyes on it this entire time. Again, with Kathy Rebick, our brand new storm chaser, longtime storm chaser in Oklahoma, but day one with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. And again, she started off with a bang on this storm. The rest of our team also out in other parts of the severe thunderstorm watch box. But again, there's just nothing going on, obviously, in those parts of the watch. So Depending on where you live, right now in the Oklahoma City Metro, just to kind of update you, if you're down here in Norman, where our studios are located, downtown Norman, you're in Moore, you're in Oklahoma City, you're essentially in Edmond, you're in El Reno, you're in Guthrie, you're in Purcell, you're in Chickasha, all clear right now. There's nothing going on. Now, you're still under a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. In fact, all the counties in blue you're seeing, central portions of southern, east central Oklahoma, severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. Additional storms may form as we go through the evening. We're monitoring that. We've got additional storm trackers out if that happens. We will cover those storms if that happens. But again, right now, the only severe storm in Oklahoma, again, it's been up here in Oklahoma County, and of course we've been covering it this entire time. Again, it's presented several different things as we've been tracking it. But again, if you're in some of these other hometowns, at least right now, again, enjoy your Saturday evening. But again, stay weather aware. Keep the Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV mobile app with you, again, in case things do change as we go through the evening. Now, if you're along the Turner Turnpike, in fact, if you're from Luther, even up towards the Wellston area, it's a different story. We've got a severe storm here. This has been a hailstorm. This has been producing some now near 70-mile-per-hour winds. And again, from time to time, it has had some fairly vigorous rotation with it. So again, if you're in the hometowns of Luther, all the way up through Wellston, basically along Route 66 there, again, heads up with this storm. Also along the Turner Turnpike. Right now, travel along the Turner Turnpike, essentially from the entrance in the Oklahoma City area there off of I-35, all the way up through the Chandler exit. Travel's not recommended. We have a supercell essentially heading directly up the Turner Turnpike, and again, it has been producing some intermittent golf ball size hail, which will do real damage to your vehicle. Our storm tracker, Kathy Rebick, she was in some of that golf ball size hail, and again, we did confirm it. We heard it again as she was driving through. Also up here around the Meridian area, this is going to be just to the southeast of Guthrie. This storm has been intermittently severe. Let's go and take a look at the hail core tracker. Right now, we're maybe picking up on some dime size hail. That's going to be south of Meridian. That's in Logan County. We'll continue to watch that, but that storm just really has not posed much of a threat at all. We're continuing to keep our eyes on the supercell, and again, any changes with this. Again, we saw a hook come up on it fairly quickly, and of course in Oklahoma, we're always subject to fast changing weather conditions, and that's what we're going to continue to monitor. I want to get back out again to our eyes in the field. It's very important, especially on days like this, that you continue to bounce in and out with your storm trackers. Again, see what they're seeing. We're looking at radar, we're analyzing it here, but a lot of times we need the ground truth, and we need it from somebody like Kathy Rebick, longtime Oklahoma storm chaser, lots of experience. So Kathy, you've been on this storm essentially from Canadian County on. It's now even starting to push over into portions of Lincoln County. Again, tell us where you are now and give us another update.
Yeah, Will, currently we're heading east on Memorial right now. We're south of Arcadia. What you're looking at doesn't look like much, but that is actually the back of the hail core that you're looking at. Yeah, like you said, go through some golf ball size hail along I-35, pushing east, and that hail core is still pretty defined on radar. I'm sure you're looking at it. Again, it's very dangerous. Make sure you're safe if you're driving through it. Make sure that again, and another.
Oh, and we may have lost Kathy. You're kind of rural there. We may have lost you just kind of intermittently. If we still have you, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think we just kind of lost you just kind of intermittently there. And we may have lost her just, like I said, intermittently. Obviously, when you're fairly rural, again, a lot of times you have trouble, with service kind of cutting in and out. So we'll continue to kind of watch that and deal with that. Let's see if we have her back. Kathy, are you back on the line? Okay.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we got you now, Kathy. Go ahead. All
right. Yeah, I'm still trekking east on Memorial Road here. We're south of Arcadia. I'm in the clear slot right now, but again, looking back to the west, I'm about to get a shot for you here. About 2 seconds. That's the back of the hook that you've been watching on radar right now. It's again no defined wall cloud, nothing intense, but it is the large hail that's trekking east right now, like I said, along the turnpike. It's about golf ball size, and we do have a lot of flooded roadways out here, especially in the rural areas. So they need to be careful of that.
No, and great report, and that's great information too there, definitely with the ponding on the roadways and stuff like that, because even as the storms move on out, again, for the folks in those areas, definitely keep that in mind. Don't jump on the roads right away, again, as there is quite a bit of ponding, lots of heavy rain associated with this. The rotation within the storm looks very, very minimal compared to where it was, again, maybe 15 to 20 minutes ago now. We've essentially seen that life cycle we were talking about where the hook basically occluded itself. We had some brief 70-mile-per-hour winds, so we're not necessarily necessarily getting the strong mesocyclone hail that we had, really as we went over about the last 30 minutes or so, where we were peaking at maybe some golf ball size hail that Kathy was in. As we're looking at our hail core tracker, the hail core has substantially, from where it was earlier, come down. Again, we're only seeing the oranges and some of the reds. There's still an opportunity for some half dollars, and half dollars will still do damage. But now here is the question, is how long will this last? Is this just a brief moment in time? Will the storm cycle back up? I'm sure you've heard that. That's common in Oklahoma. These storms cycle up, cycle down. It's going through a life cycle now. Or will this continue to be a weakening trend and it will continue to be kind of marginally severe? So that's the big question now as we go over the next 10 minutes. What will this storm continue to pose? Is this a strong weakening trend, or is it just cycling through a life cycle and it will cycle back up? So that's the question that we're going to have to continue to answer going forward. And again, even as we're kind of looking at the structure within the storm, where we had the old mesocyclone, we're going to see what was essentially left of the old hook if we have a new life cycle and a new hook. You see this here, trying to redevelop. A lot of times that'll happen with supercells, especially as we get deeper into spring in April and May. You'll hear me talking about it quite a bit. We're cycling with these supercells, and again, that's what we do. We cycle, we cycle, we cycle, and then every once in a while we cycle and we do have some type of tornadic activity, but a lot of times we cycle and cycle and we have nothing more than just a big hailstorm. That is so far what we've had today, and we'll see if what we're seeing back here on the back, if this turns into a new hook, again, as we go here over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. So we're going to track that really carefully. And of course, obviously with Kathy there in the field on the storm, she's been tracking it since it formed over there in Canadian County. So let's go and back out again, just to again take an overview here that again, right now we're not seeing any other severe storms in Oklahoma. We have one severe storm. Again, it's up here down eastern Oklahoma County, portions of Lincoln County, moving into portions of Lincoln County, right along the Turner Turnpike. Again, we have a big severe thunderstorm watch. If you're in other parts of Oklahoma, if you're in the counties of blue, it's a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. Definitely stay weather aware, but at least right now there's no additional imminent risk of any severe weather in other parts of the state. We're going to continue to monitor radar, though. If anything else pops up, of course, we will get to it, and we'll cover it live just like we've been covering this storm. We do have our other additional storm trackers in other parts of Oklahoma kind of fanned out, and again, if there are fast-changing weather conditions there, we'll be able to hit them. But again, Kathy, she's just been on this storm, so we've basically been sticking with her through the life cycle of this storm. We're just looking at some velocity data here, looking at the potential for any mid-level rotation regenerating, watching that carefully, not necessarily seeing that now, and again, still seeing what's left of this hail core, Kathy. The hail core continues to kind of come down. Well, as soon as I say it continues to come down, we're just now getting a bit more of a spike in the hail core, where we're possibly getting some half dollars now again, and those half dollars are going to be just south of Luther and just south of the Turner Turnpike. But Kathy, again, we need to continue to kind of bump in with you there and bounce in and out of communication with you as you're looking at this storm. You've been tracking this storm. My curiosity right now is on the back end of this, as we're kind of trying to maybe get a hook to regenerate. What are you seeing out there in the field?
Funny thing that you just mentioned the back end, that's what we're facing now. Again, we're seeing more of that scud that we've been seeing coming down here with this storm. It doesn't appear that there's any rotation as of right now, but there is some lowering going on, Will.
Okay, yeah, and we really need to watch this back end. It looks real raggedy, and even as we look at velocities, they look fairly scattered with it. Nothing too ominous right now, nowhere near where we were, but there's a fairly decent little inflow notch at the mid-levels trying to redevelop with that. So we'll see what happens with that, but we may have an inflow notch trying to redevelop. I'm seeing it there at the mid-levels on velocity. So right back in here, this may try and turn into a little bit more of an inflow notch, and we may try and get a hook to regenerate here with the new mesocyclone trying to regenerate. The other mesocyclone's really spinning down now. In fact, it's even kind of hard to see on radar. Kathy, what we're looking at there, where is that? Is that looking back towards just north of Jones?
This is actually looking just off to the northwest. It's looking up towards Arcadia.
Okay, that's going to be back over there towards, yes, that's okay. That's the new hook that we were just talking about. So here's Jones and here's Arcadia. Okay, so here's Jones, here's Arcadia. So she's talking about back to the northwest. She's looking back up in here towards this new hook. And so this is, yeah, so we're getting a new base to redevelop. Again, here's the inflow right here. There's the beaver tail we were talking about earlier, inflow coming in. And so this one's a little more defined, Kathy, already than what we saw. Even though the other one presented pretty well on radar, and we had a fairly classic hook. As we were looking at your video, every time it looked fairly raggedy, and it did not look very impressive. So let me look at something else here on radar. So as we're looking back at this here, tell me again exactly where you're looking at, because I tell you what, there may be a new little area, and the hail sizes, by the way, are coming up again as well. There may be a new area of spin that's trying to develop. Tell me where you are exactly now.
I'm still on Memorial Road. I'm south of Arcadia. I'm looking back at it looks like the storm's trying to backbuild, Will, as you can see the scud forming in Lorraine. Right now we're facing to the north.
And we may have two areas, Kathy, that we're concerned about. This area here is coming up a little bit with spin. And so I don't know if you're talking about this area. There is some mid-level inflow into this area here, but I tell you what, this right here, this may try and be our new hook. This may be a little stinger hook, and it's developing fairly quick. And so we want to highlight this. We've got a stinger hook coming up here, Kathy. And let me tell you this right now. So you're on Memorial Road. This little area of spin that's coming up fast is going to be on Northeast 93rd and Sand Pebble Road, all the way back up through Memorial Road. So where you're at Memorial Road and what, Kathy?
Currently, I'm just heading east on Memorial Road, Will.
Okay, let me tell you this. If you're on Memorial Road, you may want to start looking back down to the southeast. We have a fast stinger hook coming up here. And let's go and take a look at this. So I tell you, but even as we're looking at our spin rate product, it's not presenting very well on spin rate, but we do have an area of spin that's come up fairly fast. And so if you're on Memorial, if you can, let's try and get a shot down to the southeast. And I know you're having to kind of do that all, real quick there. But if you can spin around, there might be a little bit of precipitation debris in the way. But are you seeing anything as you're looking down to the southeast? Again, from Memorial Road. This is, again, going to be back down here towards Northeast 93rd. And again, this is why it's so important to have storm trackers in the field, because you're able to do stuff like this. You're seeing fast changes on radar, and again, you're able to get the storm trackers to zoom right on in and, again, take a look at it. Again, our spin rate product not giving us a strong indication here of anything. Velocities, though, are looking raggedy, but there's a mid-level of spin here, Kathy. There's a mid-level of spin. And this is about 2,300 feet off the ground, mid-level area spin that I'm getting on radar. It's a stinger hook. It's coming around, and it may try and do the same thing as the other one. It may try and wrap up and occlude real quick because it's formed very fast. We'll see if this tries to occlude real quick. But we've got a stinger hook coming around here pretty quick. So as you're looking off to the southeast, go and tell me, again, from Memorial Road, tell me what you're seeing there.
Well, we're seeing, again, those lower clouds. We're not seeing any sort of wall cloud at the moment, but it does appear on radar that there is that new hook trying to form. As of right now, no well-defined wall clouds. Okay,
and are you able to get a good visual, or is there a lot of haze and precipitation debris there? Just out of curiosity, are you able to kind of confirm that? You're able to get a good vantage point of that, or is there just a lot of precipitation that might kind of impede just a little bit?
There is still a lot of precipitation haze coming down, like you said, Will, especially with that hail that moved through. We're trying to get a good shot here coming up from the south, but as of right now, there's no good vantage.
We're going to see here in about 2 minutes, Kathy. This may just be another RFD. This may just be another rear flank downdraft that wraps up real quick. So if this comes all the way back around, it's just going to occlude itself, and this really won't pose a threat. We'll continue to watch it. It won't pose a threat. This was the other hook that you were talking about, so we're going to continue to watch that as well. That was the other wall cloud she was talking about. This one came up fast. This was a stinger hook. It came up real fast, and again, it may just occlude. It may just turn in, again, just occlude and cut itself off and not be a big deal, just kind of an RFD type thing, rear flank downdraft. So we'll see, but I can tell you the hail core, it is kind of maximizing, and we're definitely over $50. So we'll see here in a minute what this does, but let's keep our eye on it. And that's what you always have to do with these supercells, because again, they can change in a blink of an eye, and that's why you always got to monitor radar quickly and carefully, because again, these things will come up quick. And it looks like, again, this is going to cut itself off. You see how it just moved there? You see how it just moved closer? It's wrapping up in on itself. So this is just a rear flank downdraft that's just going to wrap up in the way it looks now, but we'll continue to watch it carefully. Let's go back to the spin rate. And Kathy, if there's anything from the field you're seeing, definitely let me know. I tell you what, Kathy, we're getting just a little bit more of an indication. We're getting a little bit more of a vortex marker, and it's showing up real raggedy on our spin rate. But I can tell you the velocities are really wrapping up on themselves, and especially at the mid-levels. And I'm starting to get a vortex lock here at the mid-levels. And so this, again, this could just wrap up in on itself. This could be no big deal at all. but we really want to watch this carefully. And again, this could just be what we call the rear flank downdraft. It'll come around with some 70, 80 mile per hour winds. That'll do some damage, but again, less than other hazards that this may present. But again, we got a tightening area of spin in general here. Spin rate still not looking very impressive. But Kathy, as we're looking at your video and as you're on the live line with us, tell us what you're seeing.
Will, we just got a shot here. We're looking off to the southeast. What you're looking at right now, we're just above the Turner Turnpike right now. Again, we're looking off to the east here. You can see the back half of that new hook that's trying to form, but again, there's no strong rotation going on with this. Where the storms did move through, though, we have a lot of hail buildup on the roads, which is also causing some slick spots as well.
Okay, good information there. But again, with that hook, again, you're still not seeing any well-defined wall cloud. You're not seeing anything, again, from your vantage point. Is that right?
That's correct. There's no well-defined rotation or wall cloud as of yet, Will.
Okay. So we'll continue to watch that. Okay, so we're getting a report here. We're getting a report of a visual lowering. We're going to continue to watch this, Kathy. We're getting another report here coming in of a possible visual lowering with this. So let's just kind of keep our eye on it. I can tell you it's doing one of two things, just like the other one. It's either going to wrap up in on itself and it's going to occlude, which it looks like it's trying to do. Again, you see the hook. It looks like it's just going to wrap up in on itself and we complete another life cycle and we'll go on to see what else this thing poses. But this came up quick, and this is what you call a stinger hook. It came up with a stinger hook real quick. And again, we've gotten several indications, especially just looking at the raw velocity data, that there's been some fairly decent spin, not super tight, not a super tight couplet, but especially at the mid levels, we had some really good spin with this. And Kathy, I know your video is just a little intermittent, you're getting pretty rural there, and that's okay, we'll have to work with it. But again, as your eyes are on the field there, it looks like this is going to wrap up and we can all take a deep breath and just kind of move on here. But it looks like that's what's going to try and happen. But again, as you're looking at this storm, tell us again exactly where you are. Let me know the street that you're on so I can correlate it here on radar, and then tell us what you're seeing.
Will, right now I'm heading south on Hiwassee Road. Looking off to the east right now, it doesn't look like anything to worry about. There's no intense rotation going on. There is still some small hail that we've seen cut through here. It's ponding up a little bit on the roads, causing some slick spots. But as of right now, like you said, there's no well-defined rotation anywhere that we see. Okay. So we'll continue to watch it. I'm still getting kind of a mid-level marker here, and at ground level, we're getting it's not a tight couplet, but we're getting a broad area of spin. And as we've kind of progressed with this storm throughout the day, this is kind of at least the most climactic part that we've seen the spin so far today. But again, you can see it's occluding. You can see the storm, it almost eats itself. This is what you call occluding. The area of spin works its way right back up in. And this is what these storms will do. They'll cycle and do this several times. 80% of the time they'll do this and never produce a tornado. But when you see one with the stinger hook come up that quick, and again, you've even got on base velocity some fairly decent presentation with this. It definitely catches your attention. So we'll continue to watch this, but it looks like this one's going to wrap up in. You saw the hook wrap up in on itself. It just occluded. This is what you call the rear flank downdraft. It comes around, and there was probably some 70, 80, I would say 80 mile per hour winds with that one as it came back around. So again, we still got a lot of rotation going on here. We got a lot of things that we're watching. Kathy's got her eyes on it, but that one you kind of had to hold your breath a little bit because it did come up so fast. Let's continue to talk about the hail here, Kathy, because you said there was some hail covering the roads. Let's go and take a look at the hail core tracker. And so the overall hail core, compared to where it was, this is good news here as well. It continues to come down. Again, we're seeing some of the yellows and the oranges. That's still an opportunity for some $half size hail. If you were joining our coverage maybe 30 to 45 minutes ago as this was coming through Edmond, there was an opportunity for some golf ball size hail. In fact, Kathy was in some golf ball size hail, so we have that confirmed. There was some big hail. Hail with this now easing down some. Severe thunderstorm warning continues here for portions of Lincoln County. This is essentially just skirting up the Turner Turnpike. Again, if you live in the Luther, Wellston area, heads up on this. Again, that continues to just essentially move up the Turner Turnpike, but it's staying in fairly rural areas. So we're going to continue to watch the storm, Kathy. I mean, so we just occluded. The hook came in on itself, and we'll see if this tries to spin up another hook fairly quickly. When I say spin up another hook, this is what I'm talking about. I'll kind of zoom this in.
And then we'll talk to Kathy again. And again, this is essentially what we do all spring when we're dealing with supercells in Oklahoma. Not every severe weather event do we deal with supercells. Sometimes we deal with lines or complexes of storms. But when you're dealing with discrete supercells, which that's what this right here is, this is what we'll do all spring going forward. Again, we'll just go through their life cycle and we'll see, are they producing hail? Are they producing wind? And unfortunately, on some days, they do go on to produce tornadic activity in Oklahoma. Again, most years, obviously, we have that happen. So again, we just saw the hook wrap up in on itself. There was life cycle number 2. So now we'll see this other appendage. What happens here? Will this try and spin up, or what exactly that will try and do? It may not even try and spin back up. There's typically only so many life cycles that we go through. It's still at least fairly early in the day, so I would anticipate this one will probably go through another one, but we'll continue to track that. So let's do this. Let's check in with Kathy. Hell core coming down, spin rate now coming down with this storm, but it's still a supercell. Severe thunderstorm warning continues. Wellston all the way back over through Warwick, the Turner Turnpike there. Heads up on this hailstorm coming through. But Kathy, give us an update from ground level.
Well, we're back heading east on Memorial. We're catching back up to the severe thunderstorm warning right now. Like you said, we're in a rural area. Service is kind of down, but we are still seeing that hail piling up on the roads. And the roads are still pretty flooded here along the Turner Turnpike, East Memorial Road.
Okay. And so as you're seeing some of that hail piling up, and obviously it's going to melt and get a little bit smaller, but what size hail? Are you able to kind of guesstimate any what you're seeing there as far as the sizes go that it's on the ground?
Like I said, I'm along East Memorial Road here. We're not seeing anything as substantial as what went over I-35 just a bit ago, but we are seeing, it looks like about quarter to dime hail.
Okay, and we may have just lost. Obviously, Kathy's extremely rural, so we're just trying to deal with, obviously, her communication there as well. And even her video looks like it's kind of intermittently in and out. So if she kind of gets back within, cell phone range, we'll have a better opportunity of her video cutting in, and then obviously being able to talk to her just a little bit easier as well. But again, Kathy doing a great job. Kathy, by the way, longtime storm chaser in Oklahoma. This is her actual first day at Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, so she started with a bang. But again, Kathy, just part of our team of trackers. Of course, the rest of our team of trackers, they're out within the severe thunderstorm watch. Then if weather breaks out in other parts of the state, we'll be sure to check in with them. But again, she was just kind of on this storm, and she's been handling it. And again, for her first day with us, doing a great job. But again, longtime Oklahoma storm tracker. A whole lot of experience she brings, and that's always good news. So severe thunderstorm watch, just to kind of reset this, all the counties in blue, severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. We've only had this one severe storm in the entire state. It's skirted through central Oklahoma. As expected, we had been highlighting that as we went through the day, and well, it turned out that's exactly what we saw. Supercell, textbook supercell, again, essentially skirting through the northern portions of Oklahoma County. So, okay, let's go and zoom back in here. And the reason we also want to highlight that, of course, if you live in other parts of Oklahoma and you're wondering what's going on, at least right now, all quiet, no severe weather. Again, if that changes, if there is severe weather in other parts of Oklahoma, of course, we would cover that just like we are covering this. But again, other parts of the Oklahoma City Metro, Edmond, all the way down through here in Norman, again, right now, all is quiet. And the way it appears right now for the rest of the evening in central Oklahoma, outside of this storm, what we're seeing, and maybe east central Oklahoma, it should be a fairly quiet evening. But again, we'll continue to track that carefully. Let's go and get back to this storm here. And again, we'll check back in with Kathy coming up momentarily. This storm has completed 2 life cycles. It spun up 2 hooks, never came close to producing any type of tornadic activity, but it has produced some large hail. And in fact, the hail sizes have been up to the sizes of golf balls. That was specifically over around the Edmond area. In fact, the western sides of Edmond had an opportunity to pick up some golf ball size hail, obviously extremely damaging hail, and that can do some real damage, especially to your car. Storm looking just quite a bit weaker than where we were earlier, and that's good. Even the hail core dramatically coming down. And in fact, it may even be safe to say the hail core now looking more like the size of quarters, where you're seeing the aquas and some of the yellows. And even with the latest scan that just came in there, again, hail sizes looking smaller. That's good. But here's the question. Is that a temporary trend, or again, will the storm recycle, reset itself, and again, come back stronger? That's why we have to continue to track this, and we'll know here over the next few minutes. Velocities within the storm, again, you can kind of see where the red there is, the area of inflow coming into the storm. We'll continue to watch that. That's essentially where the hook was. We'll see if we are able to regenerate a new hook. Right now, area of spin rate product here, again, not looking too impressive, which is good. Let's get back out to Kathy. Kathy, radar is looking a little bit better here. Storm looking a little bit weaker. But again, what are you seeing out there in the field?
Will, I've got to stop for you now. We actually got service again, so I don't want to move on you. But we're looking back at what you're looking at on the radar, that what appears to be a hook. As you can see, it looks almost on radar, but in person on ground level, it's not anything intense. It's not rotating very hard. It does look like it's very raggedy with that scud and that inflow coming in, but we're not seeing any strong rotation on this, Will.
Okay, really appreciate that update, and that's essentially what we're seeing here on radar. This is looking a lot more raggedy than how it looked earlier, so that's good. But of course, we also, always have to wonder: is this just a moment in time, or will, this continue to evolve and re-strengthen back up? A couple storms going up down here in southwest Oklahoma. Let's take a look at these here for our friends down here. These are not severe. There is a little bit of hail with this north of Waurika, so this is a thunderstorm now. This is down here around Highway 81, south of Comanche, so we'll track that south of Duncan as well. Also around Waurika, there's no lightning with the we'll call that a shower around Waurika because it's not a thunderstorm. No lightning there yet. Also just east of the Velma area, back over here and just south of Purnell. Another shower. This is north of Fox, and again, we'll continue to monitor those. If they start picking up lightning, of course, we'll call them a thunderstorm, and we'll track those carefully. But right now, kind of some showery activity down there in southwestern Oklahoma. But those will be moving into the watch area, and so again, we'll continue to monitor those carefully here as we go over the next 30 minutes or so. Let's go and take a look here. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning for this storm coming out. This is until 7 p.m. here. And so they basically just extended the warning until 7 p.m. And this is going to be now back over through Chandler, Sparks, and also back over through Meeker, Highway 177, all the way here back over through the Highway 18 corridor, also Highway 62 to the north. Again, if you live in those areas, again, heads up, brand new severe thunderstorm warning here. Let's go back to the hail core tracker. And, I can tell you, this continues to be good news, and we'll talk to Kathy about this a little bit more in a minute. We're still seeing some striations. What you're seeing there in her shot, again, this has been a mesocyclone. The storm has been rotating vigorously, and so this is really a great shot that she has because you can actually see the base of what was the mesocyclone. But if you look carefully, it almost looks like pancakes stacked on top of each other. This is what you call striations, and it's because the storm has been rotating. And this is really a great shot that she has. This is a weakening mesocyclone now. And again, a lot of times when they're strengthening on different spring days, again, a lot of times these will look a lot more dramatic than this here. But again, this is a weakening mesocyclone. This is the base of the storm. This is what you call a bell-shaped structure. See that? It looks like a bell. Kind of connect that, and then a lot of times you'll have striations right in there, and that's where the storm itself is actually spinning. But again, this storm now, it continues to weaken, which is good. At least at this point in time, it's good. So hail core tracker, again, not looking nearly as ominous. Again, some aquas, a little bit of yellow. I think we're easing down to quarter-size hail, and that's minimal severe hail, by the way. That's good compared to the golf ball size hail we had earlier. But again, yeah, this really looks good now, much better than where we were. But Kathy, that's a great shot. If you can hear me, that's a great shot. Again, we basically got the whole structure of the storm, and even it looks just like in the last few seconds, even that structure is beginning to fall apart. It's even harder now to see even where the base was and kind of the structure going up. But again, what you had maybe like a minute or two ago was fairly impressive. And I think what we're seeing here is that just kind of the scud coming in. It's kind of always hard to orient yourself, but kind of the scud there coming on in. But give us an update and tell us about that storm. And again, great shot that you had there, again, with the base and what was left of the striations there. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're looking right now. You can see pretty much the structure of the storm. You got the base is looking it's not very organized. There's lots of scud action going on. And we can actually, I know you can't see in the shot, but we can see the tops of the clouds here, the tops of the mesocyclone. It's extremely high. There's that hail threat is still there. But like you said, it's not as intense as it was. We're not seeing those golf balls like we had about 20 minutes ago. Again, it's from what we're seeing pounding on the roads here, it's about dime and a quarter size, Will.
Yeah, really appreciate that update. Good update, by the way, there as well, Kathy. Really appreciate that. And again, just kind of looking within the storm. We do have a new inflow notch redeveloping here, and so we'll continue to watch that. But again, as far as the hail sizes go, and again, a lot of times hail is a really good indicator. And I know we've talked about this a couple times this evening, but I just want to say it one more time for you folks that are just now joining us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. The reason why I like to use hail as a good indicator of the mesocyclone strength is because as the storm spins, the hail actually gets suspended within the storm. The stronger the spin, or the stronger the mesocyclone, it's able to hold the hail inside of it longer, and the hail gets bigger. And that's why when you have big mesocyclones, big supercells, you can get golf ball and larger size hail. That's what we had earlier, and now as we're down to quarters, that's just showing the mesocyclone that's nowhere near as healthy as where we were earlier. And of course, as we're looking at velocities, that's also showing us that here as well. Let's do this. Let me go and punch this up. And again, as we look at velocities here, even within the storm, we can see the strong inflow notch. There is a strong inflow notch trying to redevelop this area of red down here. And so we'll see we need some of this green to come back around to help it kind of spin, so to speak. And right now that green is not looking very healthy. And again, even as we look at our spin rate product, looking fairly raggedy as well. So again, essentially right now we're talking about a weakening hailstorm. And again, even as we look at this, we're not even seeing the blacks anymore. We're essentially just kind of seeing the pinks. I know that sounds a little basic, but as you're reading radar, that's essentially what you have to do. So the hometowns that really need to be concerned right now with this hailstorm that's moving in, essentially Chandler, Sparks, all the way over through Davenport. You folks are in this warning, severe thunderstorm warning here until 7 p.m. And essentially anyone who lives there along the Highway 18 corridor, and also even back over through Highway 177 down through 62. Looks like this cell should stay just north of Meeker. Let's go back to the hail core tracker. And as we do that, really important, again, we're getting about down to the size of quarters. The computer here estimating 1.07. Quarters would essentially be 1 inch. So as we're looking at this, as we're gauging this, this cell just really minimally severe. In order to have a severe storm, you need essentially some 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So compared to the 70 to near 80-mile-per-hour winds we had earlier, compared to the golf ball-size hail we had earlier, that again Kathy drove through, confirmed golf ball-size hail crossing I-35 at the Turner Turnpike entrance. Kathy was there. Nowhere near as impressive now. So that is really, really good. We're just trending in the right direction. We want to hang with this storm a little bit longer because, as we all know in Oklahoma, things can change quickly. And again, things can tilt back the other way. But at least right now, there's no indication of that at all, that anything is trying to tilt back the other way. Right now, things are looking good. But we'll watch that inflow, and we'll watch that inflow notch and see if that continues to be an indicator of maybe the storm trying to regenerate. Kathy, I'm looking at your video. I think you've got something there to tell us. So I know you're kind of moving the camera around, but give us another update. Tell us where you are now. You're no longer in Edmond, obviously. Tell us where you are now, and we'll get that updated, and give us an update.
Yeah, right now we're heading south on a Hogback Road. We're getting close to just east of Jones, trying to cut back east to get back to the southern half of the cell. But as you saw from the shot about 2 minutes ago, again, it's nothing well organized. We're seeing a lot of that scud, a lot of rotation that it's not there anymore. It's not like it was before. I wouldn't say it's weakening yet. We still have that mesocyclone. It still looks pretty tall when we're looking at, so that hail threat is still there, Will.
Okay, really appreciate that update. And again, Kathy doing a great job with this storm. But I can tell you, compared to where it was, 20 minutes ago, this storm definitely looking less and less dramatic. A little bit of an uptick, though, here on the spin rate. So we'll go in here. This is the inflow. This is the area of inflow. It's right over 177. And so the storm is feeding on some warm air. Whenever you hear inflow, that's warm air feeding into the storm. So the storm is feeding well. We'll just see exactly what that entails. So a lot of times, if you're just looking at base velocities like this area of red, this is feeding some warm air into the storm, but we need this area of green, again, if we're going to redevelop a mesocyclone. Even an area of spin, again, with no necessarily threat of tornado, just talking about larger hail sizes. So we're feeding in some warm air, but we're really not getting this return circulation. So that's what we're looking for, is where these reds and greens could potentially come together. It's feeding on some warm air. It's got a nice little inflow notch to it, but we'll see if that ends up doing anything. I think the storm is kind of beginning to head into a less favorable environment from the way it looks here. And again, you can actually see that inflow notch. So if you're just looking, maybe you're on the mobile app and you're looking at storms on radar and Mesoscan radar on there, that little notch, see that right there? That's what the storm is actually feeding on. That is warm air feeding up into the storm right there. And then we watch for it to spin back around in a hook to regenerate. And again, right now, we're not getting any return flow back or any hook trying to redevelop. So all that right there is good. But again, that's what we're here in the forecast center. Those are things that we're looking for here on radar. We're also watching the hail sizes carefully. Again, this has been a big-time hail storm as we've gone through the late afternoon, now early evening. At times, we've had up to golf ball size hail that, again, Kathy drove through on I-35 and basically the Turner Turnpike entrance. We confirmed some golf ball size hail there. Kathy, as we're looking at your shot, I'm just kind of watching it as you're panning it around. As you're, again, kind of scanning the sky, definitely looking back here towards that inflow notch. Again, are you seeing anything there at all? Any kind of lowering, any type of base trying to redevelop? We've got a fairly vigorous inflow notch, and I mean, we'll see if that ends up turning into anything more, if we're able to kind of regenerate a hook there with that or not, with any kind of return circulation. But what are you seeing out there in the field? Again, as you're kind of just assessing the base of the storm there, what are you seeing?
Hi, well, again, we're just south of Jones now. I'm looking back to the west. We see some scud action going on here where there's no rotation with this. It's looking like just another lowering with the inflow coming into the storm. But looking back off to the east at that one we've been tracking, again, we can see that it still has a well-defined base on it. It doesn't look like it's strengthening at all, but again, that threat is still there for hazardous road conditions, Will.
Yeah, I tell you what, as I'm just looking at this one here, right over Highway 77, we have this fairly strong inflow I was talking about. At the mid-levels, though, and this is about, as I put the cursor over it, this is about 5,500 feet in the air. We've got a fairly tight area of spin. Again, this is mid-level. This is nowhere near working its way down, but these are things you got to watch for. This right here, this is a fairly tight area of spin. Now, this is the old mesocyclone. We'll see if this just continues to spin down. But where these reds and greens are coming together, again, this is about 5,500 feet in the air, and a lot of times that's even hard to see from Kathy's location. If she's looking up, this is kind of hidden in the clouds. But Kathy, just watch the base and watch the striations. But this is hidden up there about 5,500 feet. We'll see if that means anything. But even at the surface here, I tell you what, it's tightening up just a little bit. This is the inflow, and this is the return flow. So we're going to see what this right here does. Still looks fairly marginal, but we're going to watch this because that just changed there, literally within maybe the last 3 minutes. So we've got some mid-level rotation, and we're going to see if that tries to work its way on down to the ground. And what's going to be real interesting to see is with this inflow notch right here, if we don't try and spin up maybe another hook right here, and we got to watch for a quick stinger hook to come up like we had about 20 minutes ago. So keep watching this one, Kathy. And to me, it looks like there's even a little bit of separation. I think we may even try and form a new hook here. And so that's going to be just east of 177. Tell me where you are now exactly so we can just make sure we're kind of linking up on the exact same area. So we're looking here, Highway 177, and we're getting pretty rural out there. Highway 177 and essentially East 1000 Road. So we're talking about some country roads. This is going to be north of Meeker. But tell me exactly where you are now.
Well, I just turned on East Britton Road right now. I'm heading straight east. You can see that the back half of that storm in that shot right now. You can see the tops of the mezzo shooting up there. Like I said, no well-defined structure, but it's still trying to get that inflow, so it's still trying to do something. But as of right now, we're not seeing any well-defined rotation or any wall clouds, Will. Yeah,
let's keep our eye on this one, Kathy, because, again, it looks like, again, we say it kind of spins down, and we're hoping that things are kind of going away. This is real broad. This is real broad, but you always have to watch these inflow notches, and that's what we've had our eye on. We keep talking about this inflow. So there's the inflow, but see, we're starting to get a little bit of curvature. We're starting to get a little bit of return flow, and so we'll see if that kind of does spit off there into possibly a new hook. Now, that doesn't mean anything more than at least there's an opportunity for some hail, some bigger hail sizes, but we've got to watch this. And again, even the hail tracker here is coming up a little bit. So the hail sizes are beginning to kind of regenerate now just a little bit as well. So this is what you have to do with supercells. Again, watch them just minute by minute. As we go up to the mid-levels here, the mid-level area spins quite a bit more dramatic and looking up about 5,700 feet. So again, we've definitely got some mid-level spin. We just got to watch this to see if it tries to work its way down. Kathy, just now looking at your videos, we're looking at that off in the distance. Is that the base of this storm?
Yes, well, that's space that you're looking at right now. You can see just off to the left of the shot, it looks like the clouds are shooting up. That's actually the mezzo that's going up there just off to the left of your shot.
That's the inflow. And look how impressive, again, Kathy, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. Look how impressive this inflow notch is. So we're trying to spin up a new hook. Okay, so we're trying to spin up a new hook. So this is it, and this is what you call the tail cloud. It's a little bit hard to see, and she just kind of reversed. So she's coming in from over here, so everything's kind of reversed. But this is the tail cloud. This is the inflow now coming in. This is what's coming in here. And so if you can, let's try and hold the shot as long as possible. I know you kind of have to at least, advance and get closer to it. But if we can, try and hold the shot for as long as possible. We'll continue to watch this one here. And again, this is what we call a cyclic supercell. It continues to cycle over and over. We've already gone through 2 life cycles. We were maybe kind of trying to hope that things were kind of winding down, but we'll see. And you can even see on radar here that, again, just kind of the shape of it is beginning to change. The inflow notch is really increasing there. We're seeing that on velocities as well. And again, we may end up actually having a hook regenerate. Let's go to the spin rate. And I tell you, even as we're looking at the spin rate, nowhere near at the level of concern. Nowhere near at the level of concern. But again, here's the spin rate. And again, you can see the area of spin coming up. Again, that's a computer algorithm. The computer looks at several different things and kind of tells us where the best area of spin is. This specific one here at the lower levels. And it's at least giving us some indication there of that. So again, as we're looking at the lower levels, there's some broad rotation. Again, still just not looking overly impressive, and it looks like we may even occlude one more time here where it wraps up in on itself. And again, get ready for spring in Oklahoma, because again, with supercells, this is what we do all day long when we're dealing with them. But this may occlude one more time. And what that would mean if it happens that fast is that the overall storm is weakening and the environment is just not as favorable for mesocyclones. So it looks like we tried to spin up a hook there, but it looks like, again, you can see it looks like it's occluding back in on itself. And even the inflow notch that we had is now, this is called precipitation debris. The rain is essentially cutting off the warm air to it. See how the rain has closed off that nice notch that it had to breathe off of? So it's occluded, and that happens so quickly that, again, good news here. And again, we don't want to take away from the threat of this anytime you're dealing with the supercell, but that happened so fast that the overall environment is just not as favorable as it was, again, an hour ago when we had that textbook supercell skirting across the northern sides of Oklahoma County. So all of this being good news. Hail core tracker here. Hail core did come back up. We're at about $0.50 now. That's about 1.25 inch size, $0.50 possible. It's fairly in a fairly rural area. It's going to be crossing Highway 18 back over towards Sparks here over the next 20 minutes. Again, $0.50 possible there if those do hold. Let me go and zoom out. And again, this continues to be the only severe storm in the state. Severe thunderstorm warning here. This is for southern Lincoln County until Kathy, go ahead.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, Kathy, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, we're still heading east right now. We're following the cell. You can see in the shot, the base is it's not very well defined. We're seeing those raggedy edges on the sides of the storms. That indicates the updraft is not as strong as it was. So that's a good sign. The storm is not trying to get any stronger, it looks like, but it still has some structure to it. So we're sticking with it right now, heading east still on Britton Road.
It occluded itself so quickly there that, again, the environment just not quite as favorable. But let's go and zoom back in, and again, we'll continue to track this. Again, for our friends over here in Lincoln County, again, obviously just as important, our friends there in Sparks, back up through Davenport, again, some of those hometowns, even as far south as Meeker. Again, you folks currently in the severe thunderstorm warning until 7 p.m. Again, team of trackers out in the field. We're here covering this for you live. Again, if you're watching on the Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV mobile app, Roku, Apple, Amazon Fire TV, or even on YouTube. Again, if you're here in Oklahoma, around the rest of the world, again, welcome to our coverage. This is what we do all spring, is cover live Oklahoma severe weather. And again, we'll be doing this a lot over the next 12 weeks. Of course, we have our daily forecast shows throughout the week, weekend cast on the weekend with Barry Whitley. But again, during this time of the year, talking about spring in Oklahoma, this is the most important service that we provide to you folks out there. Again, live severe weather coverage, again, day, night, whenever it happens. Again, we're here with you, dedicated our team of trackers in the field. Very, very experienced team of trackers, I might add, in the field as well. So let's go and kind of zoom out. We'll give everybody a recap of what's going on here. Number one, The area blue, you're seeing the counties in blue, that is a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. It does still include central Oklahoma, southern, east central Oklahoma, and again, there's an opportunity in those counties in blue of severe weather through 10 p.m. this evening. Now, so far this evening, we've only had one severe storm. It's been a long track severe storm. We've been tracking it from Canadian County now all the way over to Lincoln County, skirted Oklahoma County as a textbook supercell producing near golf ball size hail that Kathy unfortunately had to drive through. Outside of that, we've had some other scattered activity trying to develop now as we're heading into the early evening. So let's do a little bit of a radar tour. Let's head down into southwestern Oklahoma. And some of this activity, it's been trying to get going, but it's really been struggling. There is a little bit of lightning now showing up with this activity. But again, as far as the hail core tracker goes, no hail cores. We're essentially talking about rain. There is a bit of a vivid lightning threat. So again, if you live down here, really we're talking about far southern portions of Garvin County, all the way back over through Stevens County, and then all the way back down through Waurika. Again, an opportunity for locally heavy rain, some vivid lightning, but again, right now these storms nowhere near at severe levels. In fact, again, there's essentially no hail that our hail core trackers picking up on at all. Again, we're talking about southwest Oklahoma there. Central Oklahoma, again, we have the one storm that is severe over here in Lincoln County. It's the storm that moved through Oklahoma County and portions of Canadian County as we went through the late afternoon, now early evening. There's been a little bit of activity that's redeveloped on the back side of this. This activity is not severe. And in fact, as we look at the hail core tracker, we're not even picking up on any hail with that activity. So we're talking about locally heavy rain from Choctaw all the way back up through the Lake Arcadia, Lake Hiwassee, Luther area, back up through Fallis, Wellston, Kearney. Some of those hometowns, again, yes, there's an opportunity for locally heavy rain, vivid lightning, heads up on that. None of that activity is severe at all. We'll continue to monitor it and see if that changes. Now, we've been dealing with our one supercell here, and this has continued to cycle. We've developed at least 3 hooks with this. One of them came up fairly quickly. And so, again, this is what we call a cyclic supercell. It will cycle over and over and over. And as we go through spring here in Oklahoma, we'll be doing this very often. I can promise you that. But these will spin up hooks. The hooks will then include a wrap up in on themselves. That'll be a life cycle. And then they'll do it several times. And a lot of times, all that essentially means is that there's an opportunity for large hail. But sometimes, and that's actually the hold music you're hearing there in the background. I think we just lost Kathy momentarily. We'll get her back on the live line. But again, a lot of times that just means we'll have some large hail with these. But there are other days where, again, as they go through those life cycles, where some tornadic activity can be possible. Right now, the cell that we're looking at, as we take a look at the hail core tracker, again, the hail core, it has come back up some. Again, earlier this evening, we did have some golf ball size hail associated with the storm. Essentially, now we're back to right around $half size hail. That can still do some damage. That's essentially right there along Highway 18, moving through portions of central Lincoln County. That is going to stay south of Chandler, but again, it's going to be tracking over and near the Sparks area. But again, right now, this is just a severe thunderstorm warning. So here's what we're going to do. We just lost Kathy off the live line momentarily. She's just out there so rural. And again, we've been covering this storm, I think, for probably about the last 2 hours. Again, right now there appears to be a fairly decent weakening trend with it. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take a quick break here, allow us to kind of get our trackers regrouped and kind of in a better coverage area. We'll continue to have live severe weather updates. And of course, if anything else breaks out in other parts of the state, we'll be back with more live coverage on that as well. Otherwise, we'll take about a 10-minute break and be back with you right here on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV.